What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Hope everybody still has their fingers. Hope everybody still has their fingers. Does everyone still have their fingers? Is there any Jason Pierre Pauls out there? Anybody missing any digits after last night? All fingers present and accounted for. All right. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. That's my biggest concern. My biggest concern is constantly, did everybody have their own fingers? Okay, that's what I worry about. All right, everybody's cool. All right, I'm seeing a lot of fingers. Made it home from the ER just in time. Did you get one of those fingers sewn back on? Is that what happened? Is that what happened? Did someone get a little bit too much fun with a bottle rocket? All right, y'all. Hey, everybody, welcome in. As we're starting this thing out this evening, y'all, if y'all are on the TikTok side, please double tap that screen. Let's get this thing up to 10,000 likes. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. YouTubers, we're just starting to fill that lobby up and getting everything going. If you guys do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe button if you're new here also, but definitely hit that like button if you aren't, and help get that live started, help getting that pushed out to everybody who might want to be here, who might want to have a conversation or listen to a conversation. We can get this thing started. Okay. What's it like growing up in California? It's just like wherever you grew up, just better. Okay. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that, Pixie. I hope your daughter's okay. California's just like wherever you grew up, except for we're better and we know it. That's all it was. No, it's it is very diverse. There's a lot. There you have all different types of people. You have all different types of food. You have all different types of culture. You have all of everything. And I think that's the best part about where I grew up in California. Where I grew up was actually not the best, but it was very close to all of the best things, right? It was very close to all the best things. I could be snowboarding in an hour and a half, and I could also be at the beach in winter if I wanted to be in an hour and a half, 45 minutes really from where I grew up. Be at Disneyland in 45 minutes. Like I could do whatever. I could be in the desert in under an hour, like on four wheelers. I could literally do everything. It was great. Like everything was right there. The bad part about California, the traffic. Hey, Tara. The traffic was not fun. The traffic was that's the one part of California. And whenever I go back to California, I'll fly in like LAX or something, have to be on like the 210, and I'm like, don't miss this part. Right? Or I'll be back in near my hometown of Riverside, and be on like the 91 and be like, no, I'm good. Or the 405. Yeah, any of those. Like I'm good. I'm really good. So besides that, California's great. But that one little part does kind of that one little part, you know. That's funny, Pixie. I did not live in San Bernardino. I did live very San Bernardino adjacent. I did live very San Bernardino adjacent, though. I grew up in Riverside. I didn't grow up in Riverside. I grew up in Riverside County. But I did go to school in Riverside at a school that doesn't exist anymore. Yep, they shut that high school down, which was good. They should have. It was not like it shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been there at all. All right, y'all. Like I said, we're gonna get this thing moving, keep this thing going. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you voted for Trump, there's a couple different ways you can get a hold of me. The multi-guest button on TikTok, the phone number above my head if you're on YouTube. And that is how we start having conversations. I do very, very much enjoy conversations. But I do like all of you guys to remember this too when we talk about conversations. I don't really owe you anything. So like if I just get tired of talking to you, then I'll just move on to somebody else. It doesn't bother me at all. Okay. I am not here to give you a participation trophy. Nope. I'm not here to give you a participation trophy. As long as the conversation is nice and we're having a good time and getting to some part of intellectual conversation, then I will continue that conversation. Sometimes for a half hour, sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes even longer. I've done hour-long conversations on here. If the conversation just digresses into just bullshit, then I'll just hang up the phone and move on to somebody else. It doesn't bother me at all. If you're gone, someone else will be there. Mm-hmm. Yep. So no participation trophies for you. None. 0, 0, 0. All right, let's get this headset on. Ugh. Mitten, you could take it that way, or you could just take it as don't be an asshole, and we can continue to have the conversation. That's a better way to think about it. But if you choose just to be like, oh, think about it that way, that's fine. That's your little participation trophy, talking through. That's totally cool. All right, let's open up these phone lines, get this thing going. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here, supporting, having a great time here with me. You guys are awesome. And Velvet, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, ever gone canoeing? I have been canoeing. I have been canoeing before. When canoeing, I actually had to save a couple people that were swimming. And they were gonna drown. But anyways, phone lines are open. So if you guys support Trump, go ahead and call that number. And also check my multi-guest down here on TikTok. See if we got anybody that's ready to go. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get things going, and that's fine. Doesn't bother me. Gives me more time to sit up here and BS. Hello?
Political strong-arming, but many conservatives see it as a long overdue of higher education.
Hello? All right, well, that person's not there. We'll try someone else. Oh, and that person left too. All right. We'll get there. Great to see you streaming. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I do this every single day, except for Thursdays. Thursdays are my day off. And I'm trying to do it more like on time today, too. So just trying. All right, y'all. Let's keep this thing moving. Y'all, can we get this thing up to 15,000 likes on TikTok? I had a couple TikTok guests in here. They kind of disappeared. And I had a couple phone calls, and they're kind of disappearing, too. But that's okay. We'll get there. Hello. How are you today? All right. Goodbye. Interesting. Velp. Oh, that's funny. Hello?
Hey.
Hi, how old are you?
24.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm only looking for Trump supporters right now, but I do appreciate you. All right. Oh, that's okay. Guys, as they said, I've only been on for 9 minutes. Sometimes it takes a little bit too fun to get started. I tell people all the time, if you support Trump, the best time to get a hold of me is right now. Because soon you won't be able to, because it'll get packed up, and that's fine. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
Like a fucking job. I've seen you on here for like nonstop.
I'm sorry, sir. Did you just come up here to cry?
You need a fucking job, man.
Oh. I had questions for you, man. Where'd you go? Hello? Goodbye. I had questions for that guy. He ran off. Hello?
Hey there. Hey.
Hi, how old are you?
35.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I support Trump.
Awesome. Why is that?
Is that my phone ringing or?
No, it's mine. It won't shut off.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's a long list of stuff. Some stuff I like, some stuff I don't. The stuff I like would be, I think we need to address other countries not giving us access to their markets, address NATO not paying their fair share. I think we had to address the open border. We had to preferably lower taxes. I know Trump has floated the idea of eliminating income tax, which would be amazing.
Yeah, no, he
Um,
hasn't floated that idea anywhere. He's just said it out loud, and it doesn't even make any sense. But what do you mean NATO wasn't paying their fair share? That's not true.
they weren't hitting their 2%.
The majority of countries were hitting their 2%, and every other country that wasn't was between 1.6 and 2.
No, I don't think that's true.
But it is. So what do you mean paying their fair share?
NATO?
What?
Are you still talking about NATO?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they should meet the obligations that they well, I mean, to be honest, I agree with Trump's position that we don't even need NATO anymore. I mean, that's a World War II relic. The Soviet Union collapsed. I think, Europe's problems should be Europe's problems. We don't they got rebuilt. They got a sweet deal on that. They got a sweet deal on access to our markets for 75 years. And, we don't need to be securing them, and we don't need to be granting them better access to our markets than they give us.
Sir,
I think
NATO doesn't give us access to their markets or give them access to our markets. So I don't know why you keep talking about that. NATO doesn't do any of that stuff. Second of all, we were talking about them paying their fair share. And again, not only did we just, are they paying their fair share, but a lot of countries just agreed to pay more. And again, what are they even paying to, sir? Do you know where that...
they agreed to pay more, but under Biden, they didn't actually allocate
Sir. Hello. So when they're paying that 2%, what does that 2% go to?
Military.
Who's military?
They're military.
Okay, so when you're talking about contributing, they're not contributing to NATO. They're just contributing to their own military.
Right.
So what? If they're
So-
if they're spending 1.7% of their GDP instead of 2% of their GDP on their own military, so what?
Yeah, I mean, if they don't want to be part of an alliance where we all agree to have a specific amount of dry powder to go to war if we need to, then we shouldn't be in the alliance at all. I agree. Get rid of NATO and let them spend
Sir,
whatever
what's
they want.
1.7? The difference between like 1.7 and 2% of Latvia's GDP?
NATO. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the exact numbers
Numbers for what?
for what they were spending, what percentage of their GDP they
Yeah,
were
sir.
spending.
Again, you can pull it up all you want, but what's the difference between let's say it's 1.5. It doesn't matter. What's the difference between 1.5 and 2% of Latvia's GDP when it comes to their military? Was that like 8
Well, you're talking
troops?
about Latvia. What about France? What about Germany? What about
Germany was paying over
Italy?
3%, and Italy was paying well above their share. The countries that weren't paying 2% were the smaller countries. I think the largest one was probably I think maybe Spain was one of them, but for the majority of them, they were very, very tiny countries were the ones that weren't meeting their 2%.
I mean, you got Canada 1%, Croatia 1.2%.
Canada is not at 1%. That's a lie.
That's what they were before Trump. Yeah. That's
No,
what
they
I'm reading right
weren't.
here. You had France at 1.8%, so they were
Sir,
not
where are
at
you seeing this
1.8.
data from?
You had Germany at 1.2%.
Sir, where are you seeing this data from?
Let me see the source. Estimated defense spending percentages for 2016, the NATO guidelines.
Where are you seeing this data from, sir?
It was set at the Wales summit.
Sir, just tell me where you're seeing the data. I'm not asking
well,
for you're on the website. What website are you on?
No, I'm talking to AI.
I don't want you to talk to AI. Give me a source, dude.
Yeah, no, it'll have the source in here. I just got to find it.
Okay, well, I'll pull up sources of data for NATO. Okay.
Okay.
NATO funding by percentage by country.
NATO's 2017 report is the primary source.
That the report from who?
NATO.
Okay, and where can I find that?
I would Google NATO 2017 report.
I would just ask you to tell me the source.
Exact source to see the NATO 2017 report. All right, it's pulling up. Just give me a second.
So here's the actual percentages that we're talking about before Donald Trump actually came in office this time. Okay. So this is percent of NATO spending as percent of GDP in 2024. Okay. So this was under the Biden administration. All right. Poland, 4.12%. Estonia, 3.34%. United States, 3.38%. Latvia, 3.15%. Greece, 3.08%. Okay. France, 2.06%. That's down there. You were talking about that one.
Is that what they committed to or what they actually spent?
And that's what they actually spent.
That's after Trump's term. If you're going to go pre-Trump, you got to go 2016.
Okay. When did Donald Trump actually make an agreement with NATO?
I don't know if the agreement already exists. He was telling them to live up to the agreement.
Okay. And what power did he have to say to have them live up to the agreement?
The presidential power of the United States.
So nothing.
Well, I mean, he has tariffs. He has.
Did he tariff them when they didn't listen?
I mean, they got tariffed. That's for sure.
Did he tariff them when they didn't listen?
Yeah, I think he did.
He did not. He in no way did that. Let me see if I can pull this up so I can show you better because you can't read it that way. Oh, can I make this a little? Can I zoom in on this? There we go. This is in currency. Let's see if I can see it by percentage because this is by defense expenditure.
So Trump used public criticism and shaming, threats to U.S. commitment, diplomatic pressure, and bilateral talks.
So if you look right here, okay, now we have the percentage real share of GDP, and you actually see a lot of countries actually went down in 2017 when Donald Trump came in office. Greece went down. France went down, Estonia went down, Denmark went down, Czech Republic went up, Croatia went barely up, Norway went down, Poland went down, Portugal went down, Romania went up, Slavic Republic went down. This shows every year from 2014 to 2025. Or 2025 estimate.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Because I can't. It's too small for me to read there.
Sir, regardless of any of this, I don't want to digress. You went into these numbers, and I don't really know why. What I'm saying is, sir, we're talking about these small countries, and we're talking about these small little tiny percentage changes within their GDP as far as their contribution to NATO. It is really very meaningless to the entire point of the entire NATO agreement. Okay, because we're just talking about defense spending in peacetime, which really doesn't help anything. All right, that's not really a big primary source of it. Okay, the big deal really is what we're talking about is. Should they be putting their 2%? Yeah, absolutely. But Donald Trump is making agreements with them right now, and he doesn't even believe they're going to hold up to his deal that he's talking about right now. And the reason why we know that is because he set the next check for their money to be in 2029. He doesn't actually want to check to see if any of these countries are actually contributing the actual amount they're supposed to until after he's out of the presidency, just so he can claim that they agreed it, but then not actually have any proof to actually show that they actually did it, because he knows they're not going to.
Okay, so according to NATO's Defense Expenditure Report covering 2011 to 2017, the countries that increased spending after Trump came into office was Albania from 1 to 1.4, Belgium from 0.9 to 1.1, Bulgaria 1.3 to 1.6, Canada from 1 to 1.4, Croatia 1.2 to 1.7.
Sir, I just had all of this data on the screen. I really don't need you.
1.8 to 2.1.
Sir! I just had all this data on the screen. I do not need you to go line by line. I just made an entire statement about defense spending. Can you please respond to it?
Yeah, I'm reading from NATO's countries defense.
That's fine,
changes.
sir.
I'm reading from their report.
Sir, I
report
have
did
the
you read
report up here on the screen if anybody wants to see it, and I already talked about multiple countries. That's fine. I asked you a question, sir. Did you even hear a word that I said?
Can you restate it?
Okay, can you listen this time?
Yeah, I'll listen.
Okay. While I have no problem with the percentage going for people holding up to their 2%, Donald Trump is making deals with them right now, knowing exactly that they won't hold up to their end of the bargain, even right now. Okay, that is why Donald Trump set the amount of time that until we check to see if they're actually spending what they're spending till 2029. He doesn't actually want to check to see if any country is spending what they're spending until after he's out of office, because he knows those countries aren't actually going to spend that amount of money. Okay. Because the
So
point of
why?
NATO is not let's see who can spend more money on their military. That's not the point. The point is having an alliance in case somebody attacks. And I promise you, if anybody attacks, everybody's going to be spending a lot more than 2% or 5% or any other percent that you want.
Right. So what's the point of having NATO?
It's a collection of countries in case one is attacked as a deterrent for attacking any of them.
Right. Who in case who attacks who?
In case anybody attacks a NATO nation.
Right. But why was NATO formed? At what point in history?
It was formed as a deterrent to Russia, but just because it
Right.
was formed as a deterrent to Russia doesn't mean it's not currently a deterrent to any country that wants to attack NATO, not just Russia. Because Article 5 of the NATO agreement doesn't say if Russia attacks NATO, it says if any country attacks any country within NATO.
Yeah. So why can't Europe defend itself?
Sir, it's not a matter of just Europe defending himself. There's only one country that's ever asked for support under Article 5. Which country was it?
I don't know.
It was the United States. The United States is the only one to enact Article 5 of the NATO agreement. The other countries in Europe came to support the United States when the United States needed them, when the United States was attacked. We've never once had to go support Europe as far as a NATO agreement goes.
So this is a good example of it being abused. How'd that turn out when we went to Afghanistan 2 months after 9/11? We had Osama bin Laden cornered at Tora Bora, and then Donald Rumsfeld told McPhee not to go in and get him and let him escape into Pakistan so they can invade 4 or 5 other nations. And then we invoked NATO to bring in our allies to also help invade 5 other nations. Sounds like a great example of why we need NATO.
Sir, none of that has anything to do with NATO and just our inability to lead as a country and to actually do things that are correct when it comes to attacking other countries. But NATO held up their end of the deal, and that is actually the point of the entire thing. Whether it was right or wrong, sir, I'm still talking. Sir, I'm still talking. Regardless of whether NATO should have been there or whether we should have been in Afghanistan or Iraq or any of these other countries is completely up for a different debate. The entire point is that if anybody does attempt to attack the United States ever again, that we have the support of all of these other countries on the planet, which, on top of the fact that, we already have a very strong military, is even more helpful because now we have all of these other militaries.
I mean, the only example you gave was one where it was disastrous.
No, sir.
I'm not sure.
NATO coming to a support was not disastrous. Okay. The entire point that the United States was there and let him go was disastrous. But NATO didn't let him go. We did.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
NATO wasn't even part of it.
Drag everyone else into it. That's what's going to happen to us on the other side.
I'm sorry. Under what proof are you saying that that's going to happen to us?
The example that's the only, you said there's only one example where it's ever been invoked.
Right, sir. The only one example is that we drug NATO in. There's been 0 examples of any other country in NATO drawing us in. So under what point are you saying, other countries are going to drag us in?
The example that's how it was used. And
sir,
it could be used the same way against us.
It was used by us to drag them in.
Right.
They have 0 times drug us in.
I follow.
So therefore, according to history and according to my story, there is a 0% chance we get drug in because it's never happened.
Yeah, okay. That's like 2 people have a weapon. One of them uses it, and the other one's like, well, I used it, but you've never used it, so you can never use that weapon. Like, that doesn't make sense.
What you just said doesn't even make sense. That's not even...
So your whole
that's
thing,
not even a logical English sentence, I don't think.
It won't play out in the same way that it played out the one time it was used. You're saying it will probably be better.
It'll probably be better. The whole entire point is that it's never used.
Except for one time where it was a disaster.
Sir, the dragging in of NATO was not the disaster. I don't know how else to say this to you.
That's the specifics of how it played out.
No, no, sir. You're talking about a disaster that was caused by the United States. And then you just keep saying, NATO was there too, so therefore it was a NATO disaster. No, that's not how it works, sir. You can't just say because NATO showed up at some point and did what they were supposed to do, according to Article 5, off of the disaster that was caused by Bush and his administration, that NATO did what they were supposed to do, then therefore, because freaking Bush fucked everything up, Because he did that, then naturally another country is going to get into a war and then do exactly what Bush did, and then therefore drag us in. That's a completely bad, like a completely
It's not,
ridiculous
and I'll tell
fallacy.
you why.
It's a
I'll tell you
completely
why.
ridiculous. All right, then show me how, like, what kind of proof you have of that.
Okay,
That's
I
gonna
will.
happen.
I don't know if this isn't an age discrimination thing, but I don't know if you're old enough to remember how that all played out.
How old are you?
But I'm 35.
Okay, I'm older than you.
Okay, good.
So yes,
I'd
I
like
very
your
much,
skincare
I
routine,
very,
you know?
very much know how that played out. Yeah.
Okay, great. So maybe you remember one of the ways they continuously sold this to us to continue these 20-year-long wars is, oh, it's not just us, it's everyone, it's all of our allies. Everyone feels the same way. But now you're saying, oh no, we invoked NATO into joining us. So they used it as a tool to justify unjust wars.
Right.
Right.
Bush being a piece of shit does not make NATO bad.
Who was after Bush?
Do you not understand? Are you not understanding this?
It wasn't just Bush.
I've already said this part. Okay, and
Bush
I've said
didn't
it.
invade
No,
Libya.
shh. I've already said this part. Okay. The U.S. president and the U.S. government doing bad shit does not mean NATO is bad. Okay, just because that'd be like saying, hey, you know what? I murdered a family of 4, but before I did it, I got Baskin Robbins, so therefore it's Baskin Robbins' fault that I freaking murdered a family of 4. Sound good? Well, I said it was the ice cream's fault, and I told everyone else around me that it was the ice cream's fault. So therefore, since it's the ice cream, because I said it's the ice cream's fault and I blamed the ice cream, it must be Baskin Robbins' fault that it happened. And we should abolish Baskin Robbins. Just in case.
This analogy.
Yeah, no, just in case. Just in case. No, sir. You're not, and I'm analyzing your analogy. That's what you're doing. Okay? That's what you're doing. You're saying that just because somebody said that they called in NATO, that somehow NATO is the wrong person here.
No, NATO was a tool used to justify an unjust war. It's not that complicated. It's like
they were a propaganda tool.
Hold on, you're comparing ice cream and war.
What's the point of NATO?
I'm comparing a war treaty that was invoked during a war. Which one is more applicable, ice cream to a murder, or the war treaty that was invoked to justify the war and the war?
They're the exact same thing.
Ice cream is more applicable to murder.
They're the exact same thing.
Okay, so there's no interaction between invoking NATO and the War of Terror and the 20-year war that happened, and there's less.
Did NATO cause the war on terror?
Someone eating ice cream and committing murder.
Did NATO cause the war on terror?
It played a role.
Did NATO cause the war on terror?
It facilitated it.
It's a yes or no question, sir. Did NATO cause the war on terror?
I mean, you could argue they did.
Okay, well, you could argue that, but you could also just not know how to argue. Okay, because NATO did not cause the war on terror, nor did they even blame themselves for what was going on with the war on terror. None of this stuff was on NATO. Okay, you are trying to say that somehow, because these countries had our backs and did what they were supposed to do, okay, that somehow they're bad because the United States made up a horrible excuse to go invade other countries, and they did what they were supposed to do, which was have our back when we were attacked. And we were attacked. Okay. NATO is important for national security. Okay. Because when we have more because when we have more countries and more alliances in other countries, okay, then it's even a further border away from us to ever even get to our shores. Okay. So therefore, no country would ever imagine even attacking our shores because they would never even get to that spot because they would already be surrounded. Okay, so that's why NATO's important. NATO's not important because someone's paying 1.6% instead of their 2%. Oh no, the horrors, or some crap like that, or it was built because of Russia. NATO's important because it keeps Americans more safe. And honestly, all it is our agreement is saying, hey, we just spend money on our own military, which, by the way, we spend well more than is even necessary under the NATO charter to do that. So it literally costs us almost nothing to be a part of NATO, and the benefits are endless.
It costs nothing until it gets invoked.
Again, sir, if it gets invoked. But the entire point of NATO is that it doesn't get invoked.
There is no scenario in which America gets invaded. No one's crossing an ocean with a military No one even has the landing capabilities. No one has a navy that can cross an ocean with the military, land on American shores, and invade us. That is impossibility. That cannot happen. The only reason NATO exists is for the defense of Europe and against traditionally against Russia, but now you could argue potentially against China. But even that is very unlikely.
Yeah, man.
What is possible?
Man, that would be such a great argument if Pearl Harbor never existed.
No, I'm talking about modern day America. Post World War II America. There's zero chance any power can muster a military, cross the ocean with it, and land on American shores.
Sir, you don't need that
Zero.
in order to freaking have to invoke NATO Article 5. It doesn't say, hey, you have to have a navy and put ground troops on the ground of the United States. It's any attack.
Right.
Okay.
So even
if somebody attacks, yeah, it could be a terrorist attack, possibly.
Right.
But
that's what happened, and it was horrible.
Yes, it was, but
was
that's
a
not what we're
disaster.
talking about. So can you let me finish my sentence? Yeah, it could be a U.S. military base in Japan that gets attacked, and then all of a sudden now we have support, and we also have different countries that are already having their militaries in that area that can already be there to attack. Hell, other countries might be attacking before we do. Okay, but for something that costs us nothing, it's kind of crazy that you're so against it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think having many entangling alliances led to World War I and World War II? Do you think that increased the probability of a world war or decreased it?
I think that increase. I don't think it did either.
So you don't think the fact that all these countries had entangling alliances and when one duke was assassinated, you don't think that's how World War I was launched?
Well, one duke being assassinated was kind of how World War I was launched, but not. There was a lot of underlying conditions that had to do with
it. Triggered a domino effect of alliances.
It triggered it, but it was a lot of other stuff that was going on well before that. And there was a tiny little part where freaking Dukes Ferdinand was launched, but no, it wasn't the alliances with the reason that happened.
Well,
it was happening for the
all the other
protection of their
countries
countries do this for the protection of their own country, and World War II is the exact same way.
Right, but there wouldn't have been a world war. It would have been one country against another if there wasn't alliances. It would have been a much smaller war.
You have no proof of that.
I mean, when the country says, "Hey, if you go to war, I'll go with you," and vice versa, and then one of them goes to war, and then
but you have no proof that if one country went to war, they wouldn't be like, "Hey, we also want to go to war to help you, or to protect ourselves, or to make sure they don't move their borders, or because we just don't like these people, or because of XYZ, or because we wanted to sell military weapons, or because whatever." There's a thousand other reasons why people could have joined the war. You're just saying because they joined the war because of an alliance, there's no other reason why they could have possibly joined the war outside of that, and that's a really bad faith argument.
Well, you have no proof that if there was an incident that anyone would back up NATO.
You're right. I don't have any proof. That's why I'm not making that claim.
What you just said.
You're right, because I'm not making that claim. So therefore, you're right. I have no proof
protection.
of it.
And if there's no proof that even if we invoke it, that anyone would come to help us.
Oh, there is proof that if it was invoked, they would come to help us.
What's that?
The fact that they did.
They did in World War I too, but that wasn't
the fact that literally, again, sir, the only time that the NATO Article 5 has been done is when the U.S. invoked it and everyone came to our help. So literally, the idea that they would come to help us is literally because they already have. We've already seen it happen.
But that wasn't proof enough for what happened in World War I that it literally happened. So why is
NATO
that
didn't exist in World War I?
Yeah, it was different alliances.
Correct. You're trying to compare two different alliances and make them fit together, and they don't.
Well, you were comparing ice cream to war, so I think we're allowed to make. I think my comparison is a little bit closer to reality.
Yeah, but it's not.
I mean, I think a rational person can make that judgment.
Sir, I'm not talking to a rational person.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, I'm irrational. I'm irrational because I think the invoking of the NATO alliance during the terror wars is more appropriately compared to how it would be used in the second time it gets used than someone.
And you're having a rough time getting through this sentence, aren't you?
Than someone eating ice cream.
You're having a rough time getting through this sentence, aren't you?
It's a lot of big words.
Yeah, I know. There was like some 5-letter ones in there. Yeah. All right, man. Well, this conversation has gone absolutely nowhere. So I hope you have a wonderful day, okay?
All right.
All right, we're going to keep this thing going. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to open up those phone lines and have a good old day. Y'all, if y'all are new here and you guys are on the YouTube side, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you. We do this every day but Thursday, so I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Zachary, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said, dude doesn't know what a source is. What happened to education? I'm not really sure. There's a reason why we rank, like 26th in the world? So I don't know. But hey, he asked AI, so that's as good of a source as he needed. Thank you so much, Zachary. I really appreciate that. And Seth says, love Trump. God bless you. Man, that just got worse as it went through. You love Trump and God? God wouldn't love Trump. That's weird. And Trump doesn't love God. Zachary, thank you so much again for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. It says his inability to comprehend logic is more surprising than you being 37 somehow. Enjoy your day, my man. I'm actually 38. But thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Zachary. I appreciate that. And Shannon, thank you so much. Says on 9/11. That's a myth, I guess, how they forget. Yeah, I guess, it's been 2 decades now, so I guess they lost it. they forgot it existed. Thank you so much, Shannon, Zachary, Seth, for the super chats. I really appreciate that. We're gonna move on to the next guest and keep this thing going. But if you would like support, I do have super chats open. Those are really fun, and we put those up there and we talk about them. Also, if you're on TikTok, subbing is also a great way to do it. I'm looking for 5 more subs by the end of the night, so that's really awesome. So I really appreciate you guys. Being a paid sub or paid member is really awesome. Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I really don't see how that matters, but I was just wanting to talk policy with you and, just see if we can come to common ground.
Absolutely. So how old are you?
Something like that. Yeah. Why does that matter? You keep asking.
All right. Hello. How are you today? Hello?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. How old are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How old are you?
18 years of age.
18. What year were you born?
Yeah. 2006.
All right. Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Oh, yes, I do.
Awesome. Why do you support Trump?
Well, whenever I was 5 years old, my dad, he left me. So whenever he said that he was going to go get some orange juice, and as you can see by looking at him, he is a very, very orange man. And I can guarantee you that there is a lot of orange juice inside his body. So whenever I look at him, it reminds me of my daddy, and I miss him every single day. So,
well,
just makes me very, very happy.
I hope you're reunited then, all right?
All right.
All right. That's stupid. Trump, are you my daddy? My Trump daddy. Oh, that's funny. Usually I can't stand trolls, but that one was a little amusing. I appreciate that. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
I am 43.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Hell no. And I say we need to fucking take our country back, fucking pull these Republicans out of their houses, into the streets with their children.
All right. None of that. Hello, how are you? All right, goodbye. Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I was scrolling through the YouTube shorts and I saw your little live stream going. I thought I'd call in.
Awesome. How old are you?
You're looking for Trump. Me?
Yeah.
I'm 27.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I support Trump.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of things. First thing was that them illegals, he's getting them out of here. Second thing was I like it when he bombs people. And the third thing is like when he got shot at, I was like, man, that boy, the God's miracle, he turned his head and that bullet really just grazed by him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, God just did a whole miracle by sending that, that bullet right into a father of 4. Amen.
Hey, I'm
Amen. Thank goodness that bullet went directly by Donald Trump and killed somebody. Yeah, must have been God's will.
Hey, man, like God works in mysterious ways, man. I can't really determine that, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
Hey, death don't choose who it gets to go. It just choose who it takes. and they chose to take him. It is what it is.
No, I didn't
man.
just
It is
choose
what
to
it
take it. That was God's plan. God
Yeah,
chose for
God
that.
controls death. Well, obviously, that's what I said.
Yeah.
What confusing?
Yeah, amen. God killed a man, a father of 4. They'll never get their father
Sure did.
back.
Kill people every day, goddamn.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't believe that you're actually a serious person, so I'm going to hang up the phone and keep moving on to the next person. So, yeah. That whole, like, God freaking... It's crazy. Hello, how are you?
It's insane.
Hey, I'm just calling again. I'll tell you my age. Okay, since apparently I just read your moderators what they had to say, and okay, I get it. You don't want to talk to like minors. I get it. That makes sense. I'm 29 years old.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I mean, I'm fine with him. He's okay. It's not like the best, but it's a good first step in some direction.
Which first step is it a good direction in?
Well, I mean, he's keeping some of his promises, and I mean, I can be critical of him sometimes, but that's just I don't think any president we get is the best, anyways. Regardless, so you got to take whatever victories you can.
Sure. What promise is he keeping?
Well, working on the border, keeping it secure. I like a bit of that.
But that wasn't his promise. What was his promise?
His promise was to secure the border.
His promise was to have the largest mass deportation event in American history.
Secure the border. He also said secure the border.
He said he was going to have the largest mass deportation event in history. Is he keeping that promise?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that, less people are coming to our country right now because, they're terrified. And I mean, I'm fine with people just knowing that, hey, the laws are being supported. So, I mean, the laws being enforced. And even if it's not like the numbers that everybody wants, I mean, at least it puts in mind to people that, hey, don't come here.
So who's not coming here anymore?
Illegal immigrants.
Wrong. Illegal immigrants were already illegal. They were already getting deported at a record rate from the border. So
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that they're not coming like in waves like we're seeing before.
No, sir. What you saw in waves before were asylum seekers coming to the United States. That's why you saw so many illegal crossings, because you saw asylum seekers coming in waves. And what you actually saw was the reason why Donald Trump can't keep up with Biden's numbers is because he was deporting people that were undocumented migrants at a record rate. Biden was. Okay.
Well,
now,
I mean, yeah, but when you have that many people walking to your border, it's just easy to kick them out. So right now, I mean, that's the thing is if you don't have waves of people coming in, like in tons of asylum seekers, coming to our border and everything, at that point you have to go searching.
How is he scaring people? But he's not searching, right? Because he can't find them. That's why he's
going out there, man. That's the thing is that people are also calling, giving ICE agents tips, letting people know where.
Yeah. So again, sir, how is he scaring people?
Well, I mean, the fact that he says, I'm securing the border and we're going to deport you if you come to our borders. And, that blanketed language is enough to make people, be like, oh, okay, maybe I won't go this.
Yeah, Biden already said that. And again, Biden was deporting more people at the border. Sir, if you are not going to let me get a sentence out, I will just move on to somebody else. I have tried to get 4 sentences out. You've cut me off 4 words in every time.
Well, I mean, I was talking and you were, okay.
Yes, sir. But sir, I see, you see how, like, whose name is on this live? It's because I'm here to have a conversation with you. I'm not here to just listen to you talk forever and ever and ever. We're here to have a conversation, and I'd like to have a conversation with you about what you're saying. Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So when we're talking about people not showing up at the border, again, what do you think is scarier? Joe Biden deporting, as many undocumented immigrants as he could freaking find, as he could catch, making the numbers much higher than Donald Trump's, or just Donald Trump saying stuff? Which one do you think is scarier?
Well, I mean, that's not really the right phrasing I would go with, and not the way I'm seeing what I'm actually seeing.
Right. So what you're seeing,
what I'm seeing it.
Well, what you're seeing is Donald Trump, like you said, scaring people. How is he scaring people? And I think that's very important.
Strong language, being actually like saying, "Hey, I'm going to not let you people come to the border and try and come in anyway, or anything like that." Also
Wrong.
saying
He's scaring people by sending people to foreign prisons, He's scaring people by freaking making things like alligator Alcatraz, He's scaring people by treating them inhumanely, Okay, he's
Okay.
he's scaring people by going against the Constitution. Okay, these are the ways that he's scaring people. I don't want people to be scared. Okay, I want human beings to be able to be human beings. I also think that we should have a secure border, which is why I supported many Biden policies that were shot down by Republicans under his administration that treated people humanely and treated people fairly, but also didn't treat people like they weren't human.
I mean, I do see some issue with some of the bills that came through. I mean, not all of them were about just the border. And I think that's the thing is that, yeah, you could say that Trump was the one who was telling them not to, vote, like the Republicans not to vote for it and kicking those bills back. But, again, Democrats have to also talk with Republicans. And Republicans have swayed a lot more back and forth than Democrats have. Whereas Democrats step in line, Republicans don't. They actually have, guys who will just defect.
What do you mean that there was they were agreeing to other stuff? Are you talking about pork in the immigration bill? Because that only existed because of Republicans.
Yeah, and Trump was against pork in those bills. Man.
No, he wasn't. He was against the bill. That's why he called the senators and told them, "Hey, I need you to block this bill because if you pass this bill, it will fix immigration, and I need Biden to be bad on immigration, or I can't beat him."
I mean, that was during the midterms when that came around.
It was 2023, but regardless of whether it was 2023 or not, okay, we could have had the border. We could have had the border more secured. And again, the border wasn't open, but we could have had the border more secured according to your guys' definition of it. Well over a year and a half ago, but we didn't because because Trump stopped it. This was a bill that was written by Republicans. It was a standalone bill written by Republicans that would have done amazing things to our border. But the only reason it didn't pass was because Donald Trump told them not to pass it, even though literally when the bill was introduced, it had 98% support in the Senate. 98. Okay. And it was stopped only because Donald Trump asked him to, and that's so he could run on it. So do you really think Donald Trump cares that much about the border? Or do you think he really just cares about winning elections?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that Biden is the person who can just say, I want the border secure and can get that funded without having to go through Congress.
Donald Trump hasn't gotten a single thing. Donald Trump has not gotten a single thing funded without going through Congress because that's impossible.
No, I mean, it's not. Signing a ton of executive orders, Biden signed a lot. So, I mean, you can go ahead and do that.
Nope.
You just have to sign an executive order, right?
Executive orders
is like, as the Democrats have said, is like what kings do. And so, I mean, that's the thing.
Sir, executive orders can't fund
regardless
things, though.
Of what?
Executive orders can't fund things.
Well, I mean, they can definitely say, I want they can basically make laws of exactly what they want.
They can't make laws either. EOs cannot make laws and they cannot fund things. Okay, there are rules to what EOs can do according to the Constitution of the United States. Okay, and the only people that can appropriate money in the United States is Congress. EOs don't fund anything. Okay, so no matter how many EOs Biden or Trump or whoever writes, they can't fund anything, and they're not laws. Okay, this is why the Biden administration specifically was trying to get laws passed, because the last time our immigration law was really reformed was like in the 1960s. Okay, we had updates in the 80s, but for the most part, we've been living off the same immigration laws for over 60 years. Okay, and Joe Biden understood that we needed more Border Patrol agents. We need more technology at the border. We need more money at the border. We needed more judges. We needed more court staff. We needed all of these things. We needed those things, and the only way to actually get those things were to go through Congress. And then he understood that so much that he let the Republicans write the funding bill, and then the Republicans still didn't pass it after they wrote it, just simply because Donald Trump wanted to be able to run on it.
Uh-huh. And
what?
I mean, as much as you've said, it really doesn't seem like if Biden was, actually doing what he does best, which was supposed to be going down to Congress and talking with Republicans, it doesn't matter what Trump says, right? I mean, Trump is just a bombastic asshole, as many Democrats claim he is. So, I mean, if Biden is that clear cut on being able to convey his policy of why this should happen and why, this should be passed, it should have passed.
Sir,
but I mean,
see, that's how
like there was a lot of stuff that that, yeah, well, I mean,
No,
that's
that's
the
how
thing,
it
is that,
should work, but that's not how it works because Donald Trump controls the Republican Party, and you all freaking vote in a bunch of simps that let Donald Trump control and walk all over you.
Yeah, we did.
Again, before Donald Trump made that phone call, 98% support in Congress, and the 2% that didn't support were Democrats. Okay, because they thought that the rules were too strict. Okay. The only reason that bill did not pass is because Donald Trump picked up the phone and a bunch of little simp freaking Republicans in Congress were like, oh, well, if Daddy Trump says not to pass the bill, then I guess we can't pass the bill. All
maybe,
right.
you know, how I feel about the whole thing is I really couldn't give a shit, you know, about like how Biden did or what all the past stuff. Really, honestly, man, I'm just happy that things have changed. I mean, that's the thing, is that, you know, the border is more secure now. We basically are letting the states do what they do best without hindering them. I really couldn't care more or less. Things look better,
sir,
and, you know, people are getting deported, and
people are getting deported.
More secure with that.
People are getting deported at a lower rate than they were last year.
Yeah,
okay.
Because basically,
So
Democrats are freaking out, screaming to the high heavens and telling everyone else to duck and cough. Yes,
that's not at all. It's because Donald Trump.
Yes, they are.
No.
They totally are. The AOC and all those other people are telling them exactly to stop.
Well, AOC is yelling, please stop
stop.
deporting American citizens and stop deporting kids with cancer.
Exactly. She is telling immigrants how to.
Oh, so you're okay with them deporting American citizens?
Oh, that's what you're thinking is happening? That is not.
No, that's what
happening.
I know has happened.
No, really, exactly. Tell me exactly who was born and raised here and has stayed here and is a naturalized American citizen who was taken out of our country.
Yeah, there was 3 different children who were born in this country, and according to the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, are U.S. citizens, and one of them had a father who was a full naturalized American citizen who was also living here, and they deported his ass.
Okay, and I mean, that's the thing, is that I couldn't give a shit at that point.
Yeah, again, you don't care about the Constitution or American citizens being
I
deported.
I just don't care about
who would care? Who would care about ridiculous?
Go ahead and just try and make.
They were children. They weren't breaking the law.
I mean, I don't want to pay everybody who's.
They were children who were American citizens, sir.
Yeah,
they weren't breaking the law.
You know, I don't give a shit, honestly.
So what you're really just saying is you hate brown people.
Dude, I am a fucking brown person, you duck.
I don't give a fuck if you're a brown person. That could be the only reason.
I don't give a shit either, man.
That could be the only reason. Sir, please stop hollering. You, hey, child.
Dude, I don't give a shit about how immigrants come through.
He wasn't. They weren't immigrants. You fucking Neanderthal. They were American citizens. They were born here, and they were American citizens.
Okay, so the mom wasn't illegal, but the father was not. Got it. So you break the law,
you mean
right?
like
and
Donald
no
Trump?
consequences.
You mean like Donald Trump, whose father was an American citizen and whose mother fucking wasn't?
Insane.
But he was born in this fucking country, so he was an American citizen. So maybe we should deport Donald Trump, right?
Oh, you know what? Do it. Do it.
Yo, no, be
I
all
want
about
the
it. Be
Democrats
all
to do it. I
supportive about
want you
it.
guys to do it.
Be
Go
all
ahead.
supportive about it.
Go ahead. I
Be all
dare
supportive
you.
about
I
it.
motherfucking
Tell me
dare
all
you.
about it.
Do it.
Tell me all about how much you care about that. See, you don't care about that, do you?
Do it, man. I honestly, if the
keep
game
crashing
changed,
out, little guy.
do it. Just do it, man. No, I mean, I'm not freaking out. I'm just telling you. You know what? You talk a big game, but you don't do shit. So I want you guys to do it.
Sir, I don't want to deport Donald Trump. Why would I want that?
Dude, you know what? The game has changed.
Sir, I wouldn't want to deport. Sir, be quiet.
Opponent,
be quiet.
It really changes
Be quiet.
things.
Be quiet.
Oh, no.
Stop acting like a child.
You be quiet, gal. You be quiet.
I wouldn't want to deport Donald Trump.
Yeah, no.
Because he was born here, and so therefore he's an American.
It makes total sense that way how you do it,
sir,
man.
I understand that you're losing this argument
it,
very badly.
We all can see the exact way how things are unfolding right now, and you're just telling.
Sir, I understand you're losing this argument, so you think that yelling and screaming is going to help you? Sir, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do it. Do it, pussy.
All right, bye. Oh, my goodness. Guys, can you guys please send Trump supporters that actually can act like adults? These poor children. These poor children. I don't care if American citizens are born here. I want them deported. Oh, you mean they were born here the way Donald Trump was? Then do it! Then do it! Sorry, that was really, really funny. Anyways, Jeremy, thank you so much for the 199 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for educating Trump supporters. Hondurino, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Can you explain what an illegal is? People aren't illegal. So that's easy. People aren't illegal. But thank you. I really appreciate the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Kaden said, we died for virtue. Now we can't define it. The gap between what we claim and what we do is the contradiction Marx said would one day collapse us. Ooh, deep, Kaden. Very deep super chat today. We're getting some good stuff going on here. Thank you so much, Caden, for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate you. Joe Mackey, thank you so much for, that's what that caller sounded like to me. I appreciate that. Anthony, sorry, you have to call when I say the phone lines are open. When I'm on the phone line with someone, no one can get through. But I'll be opening them up in a second. And Jeremy, thank you so much for the 199 super chat. I really appreciate that. It says, Trump supporters get so emotional losing arguments. Yeah, that must have been really, really rough for him, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll go, I don't know, punch a wall or something, really upset him. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. And Carolyn, thank you so much for the $10 Venmo. Said, just wow. Just wow. I think that is the correct answer to that. Just wow. Thank you guys so much for the super chats and for the Venmo. I really appreciate that. Y'all, if you guys would like support, I do have my pay links in my bio. I also have super chats open. Again, I like to put them up and put them on the screen and we can talk about them. So I really appreciate that. Just Bill, thank you so much for the paid subscription over on TikTok. I really appreciate that. And sorry, there was one more I missed earlier. Too bad. Thank you so much for the paid subscription over on TikTok. I really appreciate that also. You guys are absolutely awesome. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to open up these phone lines, keep this thing going, keep it moving. Y'all, if you could do me a favor, if you're guys on the YouTube side, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every day but Thursday. I really appreciate that. If you're on the TikTok side and you haven't already, hit that follow button. Make sure you do. Again, we do this every day, and you guys are absolutely amazing. Hi, how are you today?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hi, how old are you?
I am 34. My name's Terrence.
Hi, do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Also, I said another great way to support is to help me out with my subscriptions today. I think I need like 4 more to hit that little goal today. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right. So why do you support Trump?
I don't know, man. I just feel like he's better for America than the left would be. Look. I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I fucking have an illegal immigrant as a girlfriend. I'm like, I should be on the left, but I just don't understand some of the shit that you guys do.
Some of the shit that we do? What shit do we do that you don't understand?
The trans issue and what I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like what about the economy? I think that's a big part of it.
Sure. What about the economy? The last five recessions have happened under Republican presidents, and 10 of the last 11 recessions have happened under Republican presidents.
We're not there yet, though.
What do you mean we're not
not
there yet?
We're trying something new. We're trying tariffs, and it seems to be working so far.
Tariffs aren't new, and we're not really trying them because Donald Trump keeps getting folded on all of them.
They're old, but we haven't. Okay. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Let's.
I'm just fine on the right foot. I don't know why you're getting so upset, spaghetti.
I'm not. I want to believe in the Democratic Party, but I don't know. Something changed in me over the last 2
I don't care whether you agree with the Democratic Party. I'm not a Democrat. I don't have allegiance to a party.
What is? You don't have allegiance to a party?
Nope.
So what do you believe?
I believe that people come first. I believe in progressive policies that support the most marginalized communities in our nation. I believe in things like free healthcare, free public transportation. I believe in food assistance, housing assistance. I believe in helping people. I believe in women having the ability to make their own medical decisions without the help of other people. I believe that all people, including people of the LGBTQ plus community, should be able to hold on, sir. I'm not finished. Thank you. Should be able to live whatever life that they choose without interference from the government or telling people what sexual identity or what type of, or who they want to be or what they want to be. I believe in some, forms of civil liberties for people just to be able to live their fucking life and be able to do it. I believe that kids shouldn't have to go to school and have to do drills to find out, what happens when someone brings an AR to the school and starts shooting up the school. I believe just that, that we should be able to have a good society that supports people, supports humanity, and supports allowing people to be who they want to be, and that's what I believe.
So what do you see is is opposite of that. Like with the Republican Party. What do you mean? Like, can we pick one topic to talk about?
Sure. Which topic would you like to talk about?
We can talk about the healthcare.
All right. What about it?
Look, I'm on Medicaid right now. I was on.
Not for long. Sorry, that was rude. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. That was rude.
But the whole thing is that just because I lost my job because my restaurant closed, I feel like I should have to work 20 hours a week. I'm an able-bodied person to get my Medicaid. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they changed. Like, I understand, like, where they're coming from. You know what I mean?
Sir, less than 4% of people on Medicaid don't work.
Bullshit. I know a lot of people, like...
Sir, I don't know how many people you know, but I know it's not enough people to make a judgment on what percentage of all people on Medicaid don't work.
So how is they're not taking away Medicaid?
Yes, they're making it harder for you to get they're making it harder for you to get Medicaid is what they're doing, okay? So again, they're adding new work requirements, right? These same work requirements are similar to what happened in Arkansas before they had to leave it, right? So I think it was between 2013 and 2018, they had a similar, like, where they made it more difficult for you to prove whether you could work or not, like in Arkansas. And during that amount of time, something like 18,000 people lost their healthcare. And that was just in Arkansas, who has a much smaller population. It's not just whether you're working, it's whether you can prove that you're working. There's going to be a lot more forms, a lot more paperwork that you have to keep up with. You miss one, you get dropped from your insurance, right? You have to prove how much you're making, right? And if it crosses a certain threshold, then you're going to get dropped from Medicaid. And again, you could be making under that, but if you don't put in the paperwork in order to do it, then again, you're going to lose Medicaid, right? And the problem with this is So put
in your paperwork so people don't scam the system.
Sir, that's totally fine. And some people are going to have the ability to put in that paperwork, and that's going to be totally okay? But there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to put in that paperwork, right? This is going to especially disproportionately hurt people that are like homeless, right? Who don't have like specific addresses in which they can get these paperwork, all the time. So that's going to be one group of people that's going to be
I've
more.
I've been to enough hospitals where they will help you no matter what. I've been to enough hospitals, bro.
Correct. So there are laws where they have to help you, but then that falls under a whole different pocket of money. Okay. What we're doing is things are
all the help. Our systems are built to help people.
Sir, do you know how we stop people from ending up in the emergency room?
Huh.
Yeah, we give them preventative health care, which is cheaper and costs the taxpayer less. Okay.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what we don't want is people to have to show up to the emergency room to get emergency care, which costs more because that costs the American taxpayer more money. What we want is people to be able to go to the hospital when they're sick and to be able to get preventative health care. Okay. And like the Trump administration understands how bad this is. If it was just people that were scamming the system, then why do they have like a $28 billion hospital bailout fund? Because they understand that people that live in more rural areas that survive off of Medicaid are no longer going to be having their Medicaid. And these are working rural people in red areas. Okay. They're no longer have their Medicaid. And so the hospitals in these areas are essentially going to go under almost immediately.
How are they going to lose their Medicaid though?
Sir, I've already explained multiple ways. They are cutting $880 billion in Medicaid funding. 880 billion with a B. Okay. Yeah. That money doesn't come from just people who are scamming the system. Okay.
880 billion. But I don't understand how they're going to get rid of Medicaid. I just maybe I'm too stupid.
By making it as difficult as humanly possible and making it so strict on the people that can get it that it makes it more difficult. Okay. That's how you restrict it and you restrict it and you restrict it and you restrict it. Okay. Until freaking very few people qualify for it. And then that's how you save the money. And that's not good. We should have more healthcare for people, not less. What kind of society wants people that are disabled, people that are, that again are the most vulnerable to not have healthcare?
Absolutely, but I don't think their health care is going to get cut.
Well, the Republican Party does. Because again, sir, they're cutting $880 billion in funding, and they already have a $28 billion bailout fund for all the hospitals that are going to shut down. There's stats out there saying that 1 in 4 nursing homes is going to shut down.
Holy shit! I didn't know any of this.
Yes, because Medicaid disproportionately affects the elderly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Can I ask you about one last thing?
Sure.
Illegal immigration.
What about it?
Like, I agree with shutting down the border and shit like that.
Sir, shutting down the border requires it to have been open, and it was never open. So,
what about all the people that came in under the Biden administration?
Yes, how many undocumented immigrants were estimated to have come in under the Biden administration?
Oh, I don't remember. Millions.
It's like
40, like 20 or something, 20 million.
It's about 1.7 million. It's about 1.7 million.
Regardless.
Yeah, how many came in under Trump's administration?
40 billion.
How many came under the Trump administration?
I don't know how many.
About 900,000. How many undocumented migrants are living in the United States right now, estimated?
I don't know how many.
About 11.6 million.
Okay.
Okay. These gargantuan numbers that are just made up are just bullshit. Okay. We had a surge at the border. Okay. The surge at the border was caused by destabilization of the Northern Triangle and Northern Central America. A lot of people came here to seek asylum. Okay. That is what happened. It wasn't just a bunch of undocumented immigrants showing up at the border and the Border Patrol just waving them on through. Okay, it was a bunch of asylum seeking
let out of jails and institutions and shit.
No, that is literally Donald Trump not understanding what asylum is and literally confusing asylum seeking, which is a legal process of immigration in the United States, and people being let out of us and people being let out of asylums because he doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, but coming through the Mexican border, like that's not right. We shouldn't have illegals here. Like, there's people who actually come here legally, and that sucks for them because they waded through it, right?
Sir, asylum seeking is legal.
Right, but coming from the southern border, what about that?
Yep, you can come here legally from the southern border.
But illegally, I'm talking about.
Sir, coming here illegally was always illegal. That's why Joe Biden deported.
So what's wrong with deporting them?
Joe Biden deported more than Donald
criminals
Trump.
And shit. Why can't we deport criminals?
Sir, you need to listen to what I'm saying. Don't just start talking. Joe Biden deported more undocumented migrants than Trump. So I don't have a problem with deporting undocumented migrants. Okay? I have no problem deporting criminals. I have a problem with the fact that people that are here, okay, that are trying to be here legally, don't have the ability to be here legally. Okay, people that are trying to do the right thing, people that are trying to be here legally, people that are trying to follow the law, can't do it because of Donald Trump. We can't let everybody in, but again, we weren't letting everybody into the Biden administration because he deported more people.
This is the greatest country on fucking earth, dude. Like,
under what qualification?
Everybody wants to be here. Of course they want to be here.
I'm sorry, what makes us the greatest country on earth, just out of curiosity?
I don't know, man. Our freedom.
Yeah, like freaking all of Europe has freedom, bro. Like, that's not special.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like the entire European continent has freedom, bro. That's not special.
Sure.
Yeah, I think of 193 countries, I think there's 120 of them or something that have what we consider freedom. Yeah, so.
I don't know. All right. Well, I guess that's all I wanted to hear. Thanks, man.
All right, dude. Later. Yeah, we don't have the monopoly on freedom, y'all. Just thought I'd let you know. Like, it's not like Like, oh, well, we got freedom, so now nobody else gets it. Like, that's not how that shit worked. There's lots of countries with freedom. There are a lot of things that make this country great. I'm not saying that there's not. But just saying it's because of freedom is wild. All right. Meiji, Mona, Sky, thank you guys so much for the community fest. I really appreciate that. Decade, I appreciate you guys. Freedom! Morgan, thank you so much for becoming a paid member over here on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's absolutely awesome, Morgan. I really appreciate that. Shane says, sorry to interrupt, but despite Trump, oil up? I think I did see oil was starting to go up a little bit, but that's kind of expected with everything going on in the Middle East, so I don't really blame that. And Man of Tomorrow, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said, dude, what the fuck? Dude want to deport citizens. Yeah, I don't know. You must be not that wasn't that last guy. That was the guy before. Dude just wants to deport citizens. I don't know. Dude got real emotional about it too, bro. You hear what I said? Like, oh, well, under that qualification, Trump should be deported. And he freaking got super emotional. Camden, this is a really weird thing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a really weird thing to hang your hat on, bro. Just thought I'd let you know. That's a really weird thing to hang your hat on. You should get a life. But anyways, thank you guys so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. Camden, man, tomorrow. You guys are really awesome. All right, we're gonna keep this thing going. Actually, I need 10 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, let's open up these phone lines again. Really appreciate y'all. And Cedric, thank you so much for the donation there on Cash App. I really appreciate that. That's really, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You guys are absolutely awesome. All right, hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Yeah, where I left off, I don't want to take any women's rights away. I simply don't think they have the right to kill another person.
Who are you?
But
all right. If you can't ask a question, then I guess we'll keep this thing moving. Silent Storm, thank you for the 5 gifted paid memberships on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Silent Storm. Big W's for Silent Storm. That's absolutely great. I really appreciate that. Oh, the gay vegan got one too. Hello, how are you today? Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you so much, Silent Storm. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
30 years old.
30?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
100%.
I'm seeing all these. Make sure you guys are throwing big W's to Trevor Silent Storm for all those people who just got paid memberships. That's really amazing. Thank you so much. All right, you said you do support Trump? Sorry.
Yes, sir. I said 100%.
Awesome. Why is that?
I mean, because he's doing what he said he was going to do. But before we get into that, though, I just wanted to, make a quick statement that you gaslight your audience so much.
Sir, I do not need your tone policing or your opinion. Why do you support Trump?
I'm not trying to tone police you. I'm just trying to
I don't care what you're trying to do. I don't care. Either get to a political point or go away.
That's what I'm doing. I'm getting to my political point. Like when you talked about the executive orders. Yes, technically an executive order cannot fund something, but the funds that have been appropriated by Congress can be affected by an executive order. There, in turn, an executive order can fund certain programs that Trump wants. So that is not wrong.
That is wrong. Yes, executive orders can't.
That is not wrong.
Sir, listen. Yes, executive orders can release funding from Congress, but again, Congress funded it. It was not the executive order that funded. No. But so it's not so ipso facto, because it could release certain things over here and all that sort of stuff, then it could fund things. No, that's not how that works. It was funded by Congress. Okay. If you want to take that executive order and go, okay, the money that Congress already funded is now ready to be released, when it has to be released anyway, it can't stop it from being released. Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if money has been appropriated by Congress, an executive order can in turn use the money that has already been appropriated by Congress to fund something. So yes, you're right.
Only the thing that Congress funded it for.
Not necessarily.
Yes, I'll give you an example, and I'll give you a direct example of that. Okay, in Donald Trump's first term, okay, Congress approved funding for a border wall. Remember that?
I do.
Okay, awesome. When Biden came in, Biden signed an executive order, okay, to stop building Donald Trump's border wall. Okay, but the money still had to be used for a border wall because that's what Congress funded it for. Okay, so Joe Biden used that money to fill in gaps and build up wall that was already there. The money was funded by Congress to build border wall. Joe Biden used it to build border wall. He just didn't use it to build Trump's border wall. Okay, but that executive order didn't fund border wall funding.
No, because the money had already been appropriated by Congress. I understand
to
what
border
you're
wall.
saying.
Exactly.
But yes, so I agreed with you on that point. But what I'm saying is an executive order can significantly impact how those funds are spent, because he could direct his agencies to spend the money that has already been appropriated to do certain things that he wants to do, like let's say on the border wall. That's just my first point. My second thing. Hold
on. We're not moving on to the next point because we're talking about the first point and I'm not done with it yet. What that caller was saying was that there's more money going to certain agencies specifically due to executive order, and that doesn't exist because Congress hasn't appropriated that money at all. That was the argument I was making with that guy. You're making some like weird off propaganda thing that to make it sound like executive orders can fund things. They can't. Okay. But the exact argument was he was saying that Donald Trump has sent money via executive order directly to i.e. ICE, right? That did not happen and cannot happen.
No. And the only way that was able to happen was by passing the bill that they just passed. But
correct.
I'm not trying to say some propaganda. I'm just telling you that an executive order can direct and affect the way that approved funds by Congress are spent.
Right, but that was not my argument. My argument was that executive orders cannot appropriate funds, and it doesn't sound like you disagree. So, what's your next point?
No, and I agree with that. Then as far as this whole Medicaid and Medicare thing. If you deserve to be on Medicaid or Medicare, you will not be cut off. If you're an able-bodied person who's able to work, you could still get your Medicaid and Medicare, but you just have to have a certain work requirement. So by you saying that, all these people, 17 million people are going to lose their Medicaid and Medicare and their health, that's because they shouldn't probably be on the program in the first place. Too many people in this country, they use Section 8 housing. They use all these government assistance programs as a lifeline for their whole entire life, when that's not what these programs were meant for. They were meant to help you in the time that you needed help, and you need to get on your own feet and take care of your own responsibilities once you're able to.
Well, again, sir, like I told that last guest, less than 4% of people that are on Medicaid are actually able to work, right? Or actually not working, I'm sorry. Or for the people that are actually able to work. The rest of them are disabled and or elderly or people like that, okay? But this whole idea behind but anything. I'm in the middle of a sentence, okay? But you making this entire ridiculous statement talking about, people are just abusing. Who the fuck wants to live in Section 8 housing, dude? Who wants to freaking be on Medicaid, okay? These aren't gifts that people are giving people, okay? These are things that are necessary for people to have in order to survive. Nobody wants to sit around and be like, I can't wait to, my dreams are to grow up and be on Medicaid in Section 8 or anything like that, okay? These are things that are given to people who need it. Okay. And when you're cutting $880 billion, sir, and when you're cutting $880 billion from a program, okay, you're not saying I'm going to get rid of the people that don't deserve it, because you're just making a blanket number of amount of money that's going to be cut with absolutely zero data showing that there's an amount of people that are using it that is wrong.
So you're making the claim that there's nobody in this country that abuses government programs.
Of course, there's people
You're
that
telling me
abuse.
that there's
people
but
that
you literally
abuse.
just
There
said who
are
wants
people.
to live on Section 8
Sir,
housing.
yeah,
You just literally
sir.
made the statement about
Yeah,
that.
those are two different statements. That's why. Because nobody is asking to live on.
You said who wants to. You said who wants to live on Section 8 housing? Who wants to be on Medicaid and Medicare? So that in turn is making the statement that nobody wants to be on those programs.
And that is not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, but my point is that if you truly need Medicaid and Medicare, if you're disabled, if you're elderly, if you can't work, the program's not going anywhere. It's just the program itself was started to help those people, and too many people have abused the system where there's not enough money to help those people.
Sir. Again,
So what
sir,
they're trying to
if
do-
that's the case, then why is it showing that 1 in 4 nursing homes are going to close due to this thing? Why are we? Did the Republicans literally stop talking? Stop talking. Literally, why did Republicans put together a $28 billion bailout bill for rural hospitals, okay, in working red communities to bail out these hospitals that they know are going to fail due to the lack of Medicaid funding, okay? These aren't red problems or blue problems or anybody else's problems. Over 25% of Louisiana and Mississippi are on Medicaid. Okay, are you saying that 25% that these people are all just scamming the system? When we're talking about $880 billion,
even if it's 5%, even if it's 5%, how much?
You just
money
don't
is
want me to
that?
answer
Even
a
if
question,
it's
do you?
5% that is scamming. I'm answering your question. You said
I didn't
that
ask you a
25% of
question.
people scamming
I'm still in the middle of a
you just asked
sentence.
me, are 25% of people scamming the system?
That was a rhetorical
And I
question,
said
sir.
no.
I thought we could live in in a world where that makes sense. But regardless of any of that, sir, just because I cannot say that there's no program in existence that has not been abused. Every single program has a small level of abuse to it, okay? And we can see in Medicaid where there is a small number of abuse that happens within Medicaid. But it's like 1% of 1%, not $880 billion.
But how do you know that?
Because we do audits on it.
Where do you get your? But where with the whole with what you said about the 25% of people are on Medicaid and Medicare. Where did you pull those numbers from? Like where do you get your information on that?
I don't remember where I pulled that one from. I can pull it back up though.
Okay, so but it may be right. It could be off, but that's not.
No, it's not. It's not off, but that's fine.
Where information comes from, that's also a big part of this whole entire thing, of where we get our facts from, because a lot of these places are biased, and I'm not saying it's just on the left; it's on the right as well.
So that same source also said that California and New York have over 25% of their people on Medicaid. So therefore, I don't think it's very biased if it's saying left and right states.
Okay,
it was KFF, by the way.
We both know that sites are biased both ways. So it truly does depend on where you get your information. But even if out of the 25%, if 5% of that was fraud, if 3% of that was fraud and scamming and people who shouldn't be on the program, how much more money? How do you know that?
Because we run audits on it, because we know it's not 5%. And again, there's been no data to show that it's 5%.
So what is the number, the actual percentage of people who are scamming the system? Let's say in California.
In California, I don't know specifically by state.
Okay, so I'm just saying, even if it is 3%, 1%, 2%, that's millions of dollars being spent on people that it should not be being spent on, when it could be actually helping the people that it needs to. Everything in this bill, I don't agree with. I don't think it's the best bill in the world. I do think there's some good things in it. There's some bad things in it. Me personally, I think Congress, I've worked in politics for over a decade now. I think Democrats and Republicans, for the most part, are all full of shit. They look out for themselves. They want, all they care about is making money.
Sir, before you go down the whole rabbit hole, it's not a matter of whether I think that fraud should be stopped. Okay, you're making it. You're trying to garner this false equivalency between me saying we shouldn't just blanketly cut Medicaid for millions of people to there's some fraud in there that we shouldn't fix. Yes, if there's fraud, we should fix the fraud. And again, I think I did see that there was about 5% of fraud in Medicaid, but that fraud is already caught, and that 5% of fraud is already stopped, and those payments don't go out to those people. We're already catching that 5% that you're talking about. So if we're already catching that 5% of fraud that's already happening, and we're already stopping those payments, and those payments are coming back, and those payments are being returned, and those payments aren't proper, okay, and we already have that system in place. If we're already catching that 5% of fraud, then where's this money going to come from?
Are you talking about the 800 billion that they want to cut? Where's that money going to come from?
Yep.
When you look at the whole country as a whole, $800 billion is not that much money on the whole grand scheme of things. What we're $35 trillion in debt. So 800 billion is not a huge number, you know, for the whole country. If you take out all the fraud of Medicaid throughout the country and you actually require people to go work and require people, again, just even with the Section 8 housing stuff, I know people.
Sir, stop going back to Section 8 housing. First of all, we're not talking about Medicaid as these cuts as a whole of the American budget. We're talking about these cuts as a whole of Medicaid's funding. Okay, but stop trying to go back to Section 8 housing. We're talking about Medicaid, okay? And again, sir, I already gave you the percentage of people that don't work, that aren't disabled, okay? So again, if you're talking about these people going back to work, that still does not cover the amount of money.
Okay, but if they are disabled, they're elderly, they are not going to be cut off. The work requirement is for people who can actually get out there and work 20 hours a week.
If every single person that is on Medicaid that had the ability to work, went back to work and came off of Medicaid, we still wouldn't hit the amount of money needed to cut. It would still not reach the amount of money that they're trying to cut out of it. That's what I am saying. If every single person who was not disabled, who was not elderly, who was being able to work, okay, if every single one of them went back to work, okay, and got off of Medicaid, we wouldn't be near. And by the way, I forgot that it got updated. It's over $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts. Okay. We're not going to reach $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts of the 4% of people that could go back to work, or the 5% of people that that you're saying is on fraud, even though we already catch that fraud. We're not going to get to 1 trillion. So where are these cuts coming from, sir? Because again, if you add up all of your fraud, if you add up all of your people not working, if you add up all of it together, it still doesn't equal $1 trillion in cuts.
You know, what you're saying about the 800 billion, that's actually the number that we spend total on Medicaid throughout the whole entire country. So actually what you're saying is completely incorrect. They're not cutting 880 million. That is what we spend on Medicaid throughout the country. If you look at fiscal year 2023, that is what we spend.
It might be right. I might have gotten confused on that number. That's fine.
So then what's the actual number?
I don't know. I'd have to pull it up, dude. Whatever.
Well, that was your whole.
Oh, no, because it's not that over 1 year. That's what it is. That's what. Don't try to trick me. It's $1 trillion over the next 10 years, not $1 trillion a year.
Okay, so that's 100 billion per year.
Yeah.
You're telling me out of 880 billion dollars with 72 million.
Sir, why don't you answer the question that I actually asked you?
What was your question?
Yeah, instead of trying to go back to nitpicking the numbers, why don't you explain to me where all of this money is coming from if literally it doesn't add up to it?
It's 100 billion.
All right, I'll just let you talk then. That's fine. I don't need to talk.
Well, I'm just saying 72 million people are on Medicaid. $100 billion per year.
All right, sir, then just prove to me where all this fraud is that we're getting it. That's fine.
I'm not trying to say that it's all fraud.
No, that's what you've been saying for the last that is what you have been saying for the last freaking 20 minutes. You have been saying that all of it is fraud, that there's this 5% fraud, that we're going to catch it and all this sort of stuff. So show me where all of this fraud is that is going to make up for this money so that nobody else loses Medicaid. I want to see it.
You just went from 880 billion being cut. It's actually 100 billion that's being cut yearly.
Sir, then show me where it's at. If it's 100 billion, then go ahead and show me that too.
But with 72 million people on Medicaid, you're telling me that even if 5% of those people were committing scams and fraud, a huge chunk of that 100 million per year would.
Sir, you already made this point. Show me where these numbers are.
Well, I'm not clairvoyant where I can look into the future.
You said you were in politics all the time, and you've always been in politics. You spend all this time in politics, and I'm gaslighting. You came up starting saying that I'm gaslighting. So please show me where all of this fraud is that we're going to be able to cut this from.
With me just saying you're gaslighting by you getting wrong the $880 billion number.
Sir, I said I was wrong and corrected myself. That's not gaslighting. I said $880 billion because that was the original number, and then I corrected it to 1 trillion, which is the new number, and I never said it was yearly. You're the one who made the claim that it was yearly. I corrected myself on that also. See, unlike you, I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong in something. Okay? It's not difficult for me to say, hey, I got the numbers wrong. That's easy. Okay, it's $1 trillion by the end of 2034,
But
and I
it's a
just
big
didn't,
difference,
and I
though, is
just
my
didn't,
point.
and I just didn't mention that part because I forgot it, and I thought we had already gone through that part. That's my bad. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. So why don't you go ahead and show me where all of this all these people that are not working are going to cover up this $1 trillion over the next 10 years, and all of the people that are freaking, that are just choosing not to work, and it's going to cover it, and all these people that that are frauding the system. Can you please show me those numbers and admit you're wrong?
Well, once again, I'm not a clairvoyant. I can't look into the future. This is a bill that just passed, and this is
So
what they are
so
projecting
your
that
entire
they're gonna be
argument
able
is
to pay.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm throwing a bunch of fake numbers out of my fucking mouth because I have no proof or no data to show anything that I'm saying, correct?
Again, I cannot look into the future.
Exactly. So again, I am looking into the numbers that we have.
Okay. But this is a bill that they just passed that they think they're going to be able to save $1 trillion. If they don't, they don't. If they do, they do. I don't know. Like I stated earlier, man, I'm not a Democrat or Republican.
Neither am I.
These people are so sick. Okay, and so
Yeah,
we can
but they
agree
are
on
not
that,
going
'cause
to
most of
see
these
if they
people
are going
terrible.
to. No, but they're not going to see if they save $1 trillion. They're cutting $1 trillion regardless of whether they find anything or not. You don't seem to understand that.
So what you're telling me is that you truly believe, let's say 2 years from now, that they only found, instead of finding 100 billion a year, they found 50 billion that year. You're telling me over 2 years that Congress couldn't pass a new bill or do whatever the hell they do in Washington to shake hands in the back room, pass a new bill till you fix their mistake of what they did on this.
So you're
What
saying
I'm
they made a
is that
mistake?
these people, no, I'm saying if there is a mistake. These people are humans, man.
Why couldn't they just pass a bill that says we're gonna find all the fraud and cut that out?
Well, maybe that they see different stuff than we see.
Because guess what? That money that they're cutting is already spent.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that, right? So they have to cut it now. That money that they're cutting, there is no, we made a mistake a year down the road or 2 years down the road, so we're gonna go back and and make up for that money. That money's already spent, and that money is being spent.
What do you think raising
Sir,
the debt?
hello. The money is already spent giving giant tax cuts to rich people. Okay? So they don't really give a shit about whether they cut more money off of people or not. They don't really care whatsoever. They're going to do it regardless.
I mean, again, I can't see into the future.
Sir, you don't have to see in the future. You have to be able to read.
We'll see. But we'll see what happens. I mean,
no, we're not going to see what happens. We see what happens right now. We're seeing what's happening right now.
You're making these claims, but you're making these claims like for sure that's exactly what's going to happen. And let me ask you this.
No, sir, I'm not making any. Hold on. Let's stop that right there. I am not making these claims as these things are going to happen, okay? Literally everybody who studies this has already done all of the research and shown that this is going to happen, and we knew that well before it fucking started, okay? You're the one making claims as if you're saying it's going to happen. You're the one that's up here like, oh, well, they're just going to find all of these fucking people that are committing fraud, or all of these people are going back to work. You're making that claim. I'm saying that there's no way that they can cut that much money based off of the things that you're saying, because the bill cuts the funding regardless.
Okay, I mean, I concede to you on that point. The bill cuts this funding regardless. The bill cuts this funding regardless. But what they're saying, and what I'm trying to tell you, is if they think that they're able to find $100 billion worth of savings in Medicaid yearly, then that's what they think. They could be wrong. And again, a year, 2 years from now, I could be like, they were completely wrong. But they could also be right. They could also find that $100 billion that they think they're going to be able to save off Medicaid and actually help more people that deserve to be helped and should be on Medicaid and Medicare.
Sir, if they were going to give it to more people that needed Medicaid, then they wouldn't cut the money. If you were going to say, no, sir, if they were trying to help other people that needed it, they wouldn't cut the money. Okay? Because the money would stay there. They'd kick people off that didn't deserve to be there. And then they put that money towards people that needed it. Okay? But there is not going to be money for all of those other people that need help, because they've already cut that money and given it in tax cuts to rich people. But again, sir, they don't believe that these cuts actually exist. They don't believe that this fraud actually exists. This is why they're already trying to bail out hospitals that are going to fail from people not being able to go use their Medicaid. They don't believe that there's this much fraud. If they did, they wouldn't be doing this. If it was just a fraud or people that were working thing, if that was all it was, then there would be no reason to put out this bailout fund in fucking for hospitals. There'd be zero reason. Okay?
So
unless you
by then-
already
okay.
know that a bunch of people that really, really need it are going to not be able to use it anymore. That's the only reason to put that stipulation in there. The only reason. Okay? So stop with this BS, dude, about like, oh, well, they think they can cut this and it's going to go to people that need it. No, it's not. There's not going to be money to go to people that need it because there's not even going to be enough money to go to people that already currently need it. Okay? So there's not going to be money someplace else.
But you keep saying that like you know for a fact, like you traveled to 2027 or 2026 and you know, oh my God, all these people got cut off that needed Medicaid and Medicare. We don't know. Do you
I don't
see
need
the
a crystal
actual
ball
numbers
to
that they're
literal
saying?
read.
It's not about.
I don't
and how
need a
many
crystal
times have
ball to
these
read.
experts- How many times have these, like with the tariffs, for example, it's going to destroy the economy and collapse everything. 6 months ago, you would have probably been saying about how horrible the tariffs were going to be and it was going to destroy America.
None of those
Did that
tariffs are
happen?
here anymore.
Because they're making deals. That was
What deal has been
the
made?
tariffs. Are you being serious?
I'm being dead serious. Besides the one with the UK that fucking gave automakers in Europe a better advantage in the American economy, what deal has been made?
They're working out deals.
They haven't made a single fucking deal. You're correct. There is no fucking deal, sir. There's no deal. They're not making deals. Donald Trump put a whole shit ton of tariffs on us that would have destroyed the economy, and then Donald Trump dropped all of those tariffs, so therefore it didn't destroy the economy. The reason why the tariffs didn't destroy the economy is because the tariffs don't fucking exist. Okay? That's the only reason they didn't destroy it. If Donald Trump had kept freaking tariffing China at 145%, if Donald Trump had kept tariffing China at 145%, then yes, we would be fucking destroyed, but we're not because Donald Trump folds on every single tariff, and that's why they call him the
It's not
taco.
about him folding, man. See, you think it's about him folding. It's because they're coming to a better agreement between us.
What
and China.
agreement?
That's the purpose.
What agreement?
I'm not in the back room deals with them.
No, sir. What?
They're
Oh,
working
yeah,
on a
they
deal
don't.
right
Oh, yeah,
now.
that's right. They don't exist. That's right.
Okay, so you could say that, but China and both America are both saying they're working on deals right now. And then you literally just said about the whole UK thing, like the UK or Europe is a small little.
It's not Europe.
Making a new
Actually,
trade deal.
Donald Trump said, I made a deal with the EU after he made a deal with Europe. He doesn't even know the UK isn't part of the EU. Apparently, you don't either.
Brexit. It's because of Brexit. No, they are not.
And when
But
did
you're
China say
still-
we're working
you're
on a deal?
acting- You're acting like the EU is just a small, tiny little thing.
He hasn't made a
That's
deal with the
big deal,
EU,
that
sir.
we have a better-
He hasn't made
that
a
we
deal
have-
with the EU, sir.
Again, they are working on deals. This stuff
Yes,
takes time.
and I'm
Do you
working
think-
on
do
my
you-
chance
do
with
you-
Margot Robbie.
do-
I really
do you
hope
think
it
it's right?
succeeds soon.
Let me ask you though, do you think it's right that if we want to ship something over to India, to China, to Vietnam, that we pay 100% tariff and then they dump their stuff on us for 10%?
We don't pay a
Like, do you
tariff
think that that's
when we send
fair?
stuff to Vietnam.
I'm just throwing countries out there.
You can
the
name
numbers
whatever
aren't
country you
exact.
want,
I'm just
whatever
telling you,
country, whatever country.
is that-
Name
in your mind,
whatever
is that
country
fair,
that you
though?
want, sir. We don't pay a tariff from another country.
So when we ship stuff to, because either they don't allow us to ship our stuff to their country.
No, because that's
or they
not how
charge
a
us
tariff works.
ridiculous- I'm telling you.
Who pays a tariff, sir?
Because
Before I'm about
we
done
don't-
with you, because honestly, like you literally came up here bitching about gaslighting, and you've been gaslighting this whole conversation. But literally, I'm gonna just finish you off right here. Who pays a tariff?
Tariffs essentially are taxes.
Who pays a tariff?
Did you not understand what I just said? Tariffs
I
are
understand what you
essentially
just said. That doesn't answer the question. Who pays a tariff?
Tariffs are essentially taxes.
I don't
Who
want
pays taxes?
essentially. Who gives the money to the government?
Tariffs are taxes.
He doesn't know.
It's
Okay.
going to raise. It's going to
That's
raise
fine.
the cost of products that are being shipped.
He doesn't know, and that's okay. I'll educate you since you don't got this,
there
sir.
you go
I'll either
again,
educate
man.
you
Like,
with you here or with you out here. It does not matter. Cool.
Because you can't handle an actual conversation.
Sir, you don't know enough to have an actual conversation with me, sir. You don't know enough. Importers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, run away.
Okay, be quiet. Importers pay tariffs.
Run away.
Importers pay tariffs, okay? So if we ship stuff to Vietnam and there's a tariff on American goods, then the importer in Vietnam, who's a Vietnamese citizen, pays the tariff. Okay?
And what do they do with the product? If
All
they
right.
have to pay
So
more for
therefore,
that product,
we don't
what do they
pay
do?
anything when we ship stuff to another country that has a tariff on it. We pay the exact same amount to ship it. Doesn't change at all. Okay. When other countries ship stuff to us and we have a tariff, then our importers pay that tariff. Okay. Not the other way around. So it's not a matter of what is fair, what's not, or how we're spending all this money because other countries have tariffs. That's not the way it works, because that's not how tariffs work, because this isn't some la land on Fox News. Okay.
So what do they then if they have to pay more in tariffs, what?
I told you I was done talking to you. If you don't try to talk to me about tariffs when you don't even know what a tariff is. Anyways, we're going to move on to the next guest in just 1 second. Really appreciate you guys. Demi, thank you so much for becoming a member on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Gabriel, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Said, lost job, need Medicaid. Work rule makes no sense. 100% Gabriel. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Frost King said, screw the poor, give my money to the rich. Sarcasm. Thank you so much, Frost King. Razmanian Devil, you're a pansy who's scared of a southern accent. I literally live in the South. Like, literally. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, okay. And Jeremy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. Said, color is a great example of disinformation and propaganda making you lose touch with the facts and data and go against their self-interest. 100%, Jeremy. Oh, and Jeremy said another one. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Said, news reports confirm that President Trump has begun sending out letters to trading partners detailing new tariff rates that will take effect August 1st. Well, I'm sure that we will have a great 4 years of tariffs going on, tariffs going off, tariffs going on, tariffs going off, tariffs going on, tariffs going off, tariffs going on, tariffs going off for the next 4 years. It should be a lot of fun. It should be a blast. Y'all, if you guys are on the YouTube side, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every day but Thursday. So make sure you guys are here and joining in. So hitting that subscribe button so you know when I'm live. I really appreciate you guys. Also, if you like support, I do have the super chats open on YouTube. So that's really awesome. On TikTok, two great ways to support. Shay, thank you so much for the money gun. That is one of the best ways to do it. I appreciate that. Also, help me get to these other 4 paid subscribers on here would be a great way. So if you'd like to subscribe or gift a subscription, that's a great way to do it also. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Shay. That's really awesome. And really, really appreciate all of you guys' support. Thank you guys so much. All right, we're going to go on to the next caller and keep this thing moving. Really appreciate that. Oh, and as always, all my pay links are in my bio, so I do appreciate you that. And make sure if you guys are new here, you guys are hitting subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hitting that follow button. If you're on TikTok, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And Grace, thank you so much for the jewels. I really appreciate that. Oh, my goodness. Uh-oh, is my phone not working again? Oh, no, it's working. See, I'm seeing all the missed calls. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Now, I done called back because last time you hung up on me.
Yeah, because I don't believe you're a serious person.
I did not find that.
Hello, how are you?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
23.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter, man. I voted for Trump, voted for him in the 2020 president run, and then I voted for him this 2024.
Is TikTok getting that bad over there? Hold on real quick. Is TikTok still acting up? Kinda lagging. It's lagging? I don't know why it's lagging. All right, I'll do a restart on TikTok. We'll keep the YouTube side open. I'll do a restart on TikTok real quick. Easy stuff. All right, so why do you support Trump?
I think Trump cares about the country. We look at the Biden and Harris administration, how they were. how they showed their true colors, you know, in the end with the celebrities at their rallies, you know, trying to win the people over rather than actually help the country, you know. And I feel like Trump prioritizes the country, you know, versus all the, you know, the internet stuff that's going on.
You mean like when he was on stage with like Kid Rock and Ted Nugent and all the stuff that you're literally talking about with the Republican or Democrats when Donald Trump did all of those same things?
Was it in an unprofessional way?
Yeah,
Was
like
it
literally the
involve
most
them
unprofessional way
in
possible.
politics in that way and fashion? You know, like Megan Thee Stallion twerking on the stage. Like, is it to that level?
Yes.
Or is
Did
it
you
on
not
the,
open your eyes and watch anything?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched Joe Biden have a breakdown due to his old age, and I watched Harris embarrass herself.
Yeah. What does that even have to do with what you were just saying? All right.
I mean,
I don't
you the one
honestly,
that
this conversation is worthless. Do you have any actual point to get to? Because I'll just move on to someone else. This is
I'm just trying
this is
to
a waste of my
figure
time.
out why you like what's up with you with the whole illegal immigration thing. Like, you don't think that it was getting bad during the Biden administration to the point where somebody had to come in and say, you know what, this is getting bad, let me fix it. Ain't that what president's supposed to do? Fix problems?
He did
Or
fix
they
it
supposed to
again.
fix
By the time Biden left office, the number of encounters at the border was less than it was on average over the Trump administration. So
you saying Biden was trying to fix it?
he was trying to fix
didn't
it the
go
entire
in.
time.
Biden didn't go in and unravel all of Trump's
No.
immigration policies that literally
Donald
had
Trump didn't have an immigration
at
policy.
a record low.
Donald Trump didn't have an immigration policy, first of all. And second of all, the only reason it was at a record low was because of Title 42, which was a COVID measure.
You think it was because of title? It wasn't going down during his entire. You're not considering his 4 years of his presidency.
Yeah, it was fine. It was normal around that. It was normal, but it wasn't anything that specific.
It was.
If it wasn't for the fact of COVID happening, Donald Trump would have been just a normal other.
His numbers was good. We didn't hear about immigrants in the
Donald Trump is
country,
literally
you know,
on
dog.
television begging Congress to pass an immigration bill because he was having like 10,000 encounters a day.
Trump was trying to clean up the problem, immigration.
Can you respond to
problem.
what I just said?
And we look at the United States.
Can you respond to what I
and
just said?
United States has the worst immigration.
All right, goodbye. I said that was a waste of my time and my breath, and I'm not going to continue that. Tenora, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. MAGA are pathetic. Open book tests and they failed. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll keep this thing moving. I'll go to, let's see. I'm like way down now. La da 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 da. Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I'm about 28.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Sorry, what was that? You just cut out.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Awesome. Why is that?
Basically, my big thing was I don't agree with a lot of the stuff Trump's doing, but I mean, at least it's it's him being a fucking dickhead the whole fucking time instead of unorganized or an organized network behind him.
What?
So basically, the whole time Joe Biden was in, we didn't hear from him that much. When we did hear from him, you could tell everything was pretty much scripted, and he wasn't having any of his own thoughts. Other people were pulling strings behind the scenes, which was clearly visible because he wasn't cognitive at the time.
Sir, that's
And-
absolutely fucking ridiculous. Jesus fucking Christ.
How so?
Sir, everything's scripted because everything from every president besides Trump is scripted. What are you fucking talking about? And Joe Biden wasn't always just scripted. We had him at the freaking State of the Union, literally responding to people in the crowd off the cuff like Marjorie Taylor Greene. What do you mean like everything was scripted?
She's
Like
a fucking psychopath too.
I know she's a complete fucking psychopath, but she literally was like started yelling fucking like Laken Riley. He stopped his speech and started responding to her and actually had comebacks to her. Okay, so what do you mean he wasn't cognitive enough to actually have his own thoughts? He was going off script and having them all the time.
Did we both watch the same debate against him?
Yes,
and
he
Trump?
got his ass beat in a debate, but by that freaking logic, Donald Trump isn't cognitive because he got his ass whooped by Kamala Harris in the debate.
you think that Donald Trump got his ass whipped by Kamala Harris?
He got his ass whooped by Kamala Harris in the debate.
So can you explain to me the 60 Minutes documentary about her?
I'm sorry, is the 60 Minutes documentary the debate?
Well, when it comes out right after, yeah, it's part of the debate because they're trying to confirm that she was actually cognitive, and she's someone who's just not even there either.
The entire 60 Minutes debate was planned to be pre-recorded and chopped before it was there the whole time, and that is the exact. All right, fine, y'all. Then if y'all say it's lagging, I'm just gonna shut down TikTok. I'll stay on YouTube. So, I'll see you guys later.
So I have a.
No, I'm not done speaking.
I'm trying to have
actually,
an honest conversation with you, dude.
I'm not talking to you right now, dude. Not everything's fucking about you.
I'm on the phone. I don't have you on my
I said,
screen
hey,
anymore.
if TikTok is lagging, I am going to shut it down. Because everyone in my TikTok chat is saying that it's lagging. So that's all it was.
It doesn't help that you're just yelling at me. I'm trying to have a civil conversation with you.
All right, sir. Well, I'm about to just have a conversation with somebody else, okay? Because this is ridiculous.
I'm here to have a civil conversation with you. I'm just not.
I was literally in the middle of having a civil conversation. I went to go talk to my TikTok chat, and now you're crying about it.
For misunderstanding.
All right, then let's move on. What I was saying was, yes, the entire YouTube 60-minute thing was planned to be freaking chopped up and to be freaking pre-recorded. The exact same agreement that they gave to Donald Trump, but he was too afraid to go on 60 Minutes. That's not a win to say, oh, Kamala Harris was on a pre-recorded interview. So what?
Because he wanted the full interview released as it was and not chopped up.
No, he never requested that from 60 Minutes. He was just scared to go on there.
Well, I'm saying that he didn't want to get his stuff chopped up by someone who was clearly running against him.
Sir, he could have easily requested that the entire thing was played in full. He never requested it. They literally were just like, hey, you want to come on 60 Minutes? And he was just no.
No, because obviously him and other organizations, a lot of people don't have faith in. I don't have faith in Fox News. I don't have faith in CNN. I don't have faith in WMUR anymore. I have more faith in people like you and other people who are actually real and, are going to say what they actually think and what the story is,
all right,
and not chop it up.
Well, let's talk real. Okay? Let's talk really real. Okay?
Okay.
Joe Biden was too old to be president. Okay?
Agreed.
He never should have.
Almost there too.
He never should have ran for re-election, and he completely fucked over the Democratic Party by doing so. Okay?
Agreed.
Was he way too old and maybe at the very end kind of a little out of touch? We'll say possibly. Okay? Sure. I'll give credence where credence due. But saying that just because at the very end he was like that doesn't mean that he wasn't very successful throughout his presidency and had a whole lot of time that did a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's fine.
Agreed.
But then again, on top of that, saying Kamala Harris was not cognitive there is crazy. Okay? She is very cognitively there. She had to run a very, very short campaign, and I believe that she was kind of muted by the Democratic Party because they were too afraid to run an actual progressive, and so they shoot themselves in the foot consistently.
In what ways do you feel that they muted her?
Because literally every single thing that she had said, like in her first campaign as far as running, or had talked about even when she was running with vice president as far as like Joe Biden was concerned, she completely didn't say any of that and switched her stance on a whole bunch of stuff, which made her look like a fucking idiot. Okay? Because she was switching her stance on stuff because I believe that the Democratic Party told her, no, your actual progressive policies don't win elections, and we need you to fit this exact mold. We need you to be more like Biden. Okay? But regardless of all of that, okay, and I don't agree with that, by the way. I liked progressive Kamala Harris. I liked in-your-face Tim Walz, who's starting to get that back and all sorts of stuff. I like that very much. Okay. But in any way saying that Donald Trump and his giant word salad, who fucking literally can't even get a policy out of his fucking mouth besides fucking drill baby drill or build the wall or whatever 3-word quip he can come up with to make people excited, was somehow a better president after his complete failure of a presidency the first time is insane. Kamala Harris was a much, much, much better candidate than Donald Trump was and is. And we're seeing that right now as Donald Trump passes his second major piece of legislation that he's had in his entire time. And it's again fucking people over.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
So why do you feel like her own party pretty much shot her in the foot?
Because
so much?
Democratic Party sucks.
I mean, I was a Democrat pretty much up until I graduated high school and I started researching, and I realized more Democrats that I align with became more on the Republican side. I definitely try to remain very independent. I know that's very cliche to fucking say nowadays, But I honestly think that people like you and me are looking for, a true like not old independent, like what actually independent is, which is like the best of both parties into a different party, because they're not going to be shot in the foot as you're saying, basically, because I think the Republicans can do the same exact fucking thing if it comes.
No, the Republicans are actually very good at doing the very opposite of that, which is following blindly regardless of their beliefs. That's what the Republicans are good at. They're good at just falling in line no matter what the fuck happens. They're just gonna jump in line and just do their own thing. Okay, they're gonna do whatever it is, whether it's good or fucking bad. We got freaking a Republican from North Carolina walking around with a giant list of all the freaking thousands of people who are gonna lose Medicaid in his fucking state, and then he still goes and votes against the freaking people that are gonna lose Medicaid in his state. Okay, like they just fall in line regardless. But I'm not a Democrat because I'm not a Democrat because I think that there's somewhere in the middle that's the right answer. The answer is further left. The Democratic Party would be a conservative party in most countries on the planet. Okay, I'm a progressive, and the Democratic Party will not actually bend to their progressives, and that's why they're up here freaking with what's his name, Zoran freaking Mamdani, freaking the fuck out because an actual progressive won an election. The Democrats are freaking out worse than the fucking Republicans are.
So if you had the choice, would you actually, like, if there was an actual way for an independent person that you had faith in to run? I know that that's hard to say because every independent like party or every independent runner has pretty much just been, washed out because of the Democrat and the Republican parties. So if there was somebody that you could go with as an independent, would you if you could?
Yeah, we tried to go with Bernie. It failed.
Agreed.
Because of the Democratic Party.
That bad.
Yep.
So who do you think would be next closest to him to get us to a better point?
I mean, technically right now it would be AOC, but she's not exactly an independent. But I don't think she has a chance to win an election.
Why not? I definitely agree with you that she would be probably the best, next up runner for the Democratic Party. And not just because she's a woman, because she's one of the only people that actually can respond fast, and people actually have faith in her and whatnot.
The truth of the matter is, like, full on, and whatever, y'all can hate me or love me, whatever, for what I'm about to say. But a large part of why Kamala Harris didn't win that election is because she was a woman of color, and it's just the truth of the matter. Okay.
I honestly don't think it's that. I think it was like you were saying. I think they basically just set her up to fail. I think that we could have had a lot more better, tighter election and whatnot if, she was better supported.
We could have had a better election. I bet you she still loses.
So
let's think about this. Let's think about this. Who are the only two people that Donald Trump has ever beaten?
Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris.
The only two women to ever run on a major party ticket in this country.
Oh, I 100% understand why he beat Hillary Clinton.
He has only beaten the only two women that have ever run on a major party ticket in this country. That's it. Okay? That's just a fact. That's just calling a duck a duck.
Who you voted for in the 2016 election?
I voted for Hillary Clinton.
And why?
Well, I voted for Bernie in the primary. Then I voted for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, obviously.
Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Hillary Clinton, to be completely honest with you, but she was just better than Trump, and I could tell.
In what ways?
Trump is not serious, dude. He doesn't know how to govern. He doesn't know doesn't understand diplomacy. He does not understand even laws or how they work. He doesn't understand any of these things, dude. He doesn't understand how to be president. He still to this day doesn't understand how to be president. Okay? He still does not understand how to be president to this day. You want to talk about people? You want to talk about people?
I wouldn't say 100%. I definitely say he does fall heavily in a lot of areas that I disagree with. You can name the stupid fucking Trump coin that he came out with. You can name all this weird fucking shit with Israel and all that stuff. 100%, I agree. I don't agree with any of the stuff that he was doing in those situations.
But sir, what I'm saying is, you said that Biden wasn't running the country because it was just a bunch of people feeding him stuff. Donald Trump is literally following the Heritage Foundation's playbook step by step. The Heritage Foundation is governing this country right now through policies that they wrote in Project 2025 prior to the election being won. And Donald Trump is following it step by step by step.
Well, it seems like everyone that's fucking tied with Israel, unfortunately, is becoming our fucking leader of our free world, which is unfortunate to say, but do you agree that if you have dual citizenship that you should be able to run for president or be able to host any part in local government or Congress or anything like that?
Well, local governments make their own rules as far as becoming president, no.
So you do feel like you could still have dual citizenship and be a representative of government in our country?
You can be like a mayor or something, sure. Okay.
And why is that?
Forget the president of California wasn't even born here at one point. States can make their own.
Sorry.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the president of the governor of California. He wasn't even born here. He was born in Austria.
Yeah, and how do you feel he did as the governor of California?
He was fine.
I mean, it wasn't great.
It doesn't matter whether he did good or did not good. He didn't destroy anything. He didn't wreck anything. States have the ability to make their own rules. You know what I'm saying? They have their ability to make their own rules. They make their own rules when it comes to that, and I have no problem with that. I think our president should probably not hold dual citizenship. I don't think that that's, I don't agree with the president being born in another country or the president holding dual citizenship, but I think that's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's different.
Well, I think if you're also, a lawmaker or part of Congress, which passes these laws and whatnot, I really don't feel like you should have ties to other countries' governments. I mean, I feel like you should be a purebred, born U.S. citizen, and I don't, you know what I mean? I don't feel like anybody that is outside. Yes, it's unfortunate. I'm sorry that you weren't born here and you don't have the same privileges to run for president or whatnot, but I don't feel like that you should be able to be in our government enacting laws and whatnot, enacting upon a foreign government.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What are we even talking about anymore? Just to be clear, who are we talking about here?
We're just talking about right now. We're talking about being a dual citizenship and having any type of part in our government as a elected person.
There's certain parts I don't have a problem with dual citizenship. There's certain part I have no problem with being a naturalized U.S. citizen. There's certain parts that I don't. But again, when we're talking about like the president, we're talking about things like that. That's completely different. But no, dude, I think that if you don't like at least somewhat like understand that Kamala Harris being a black woman had something to do with it. I'm not saying it was everything. I'm not saying she would have won if she was white or if she was a man. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was something, dude. It was something. And all I'm saying is maybe the US just isn't ready for that. Like maybe we're sitting here in a spot where we go.
Do you think it's more the woman part or the colored part, if you don't mind me asking?
The woman part, personally.
Just the okay. I can definitely see that.
I think it's the woman part more. It's unfortunate. It's horrible to say. Like, it'll be a great step for the United States when we actually pass over that boundary. You know what I'm saying? When we're actually able to step past that.
Why do you think it's specifically the woman part? Like, not you, but you know what I mean? Like, why do you think other people are feeling that way?
Because we live in a nation that is, to a certain point, still what people consider a Christian nation, where we have a primary religion in a country that's a Christian nation, apparently, and for a religion that teaches that women are less than men and that women shouldn't lead.
Well, I definitely think that we should separate religion and state, among with state and money and a lot of other things. But I mean, that's also just unfortunately where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's truly the unfortunate thing, but the truth of the matter is that we live in a country where Christianity teaches that women shouldn't lead. And so we have a lot of that, and that's why you have women. That's why there's videos of women like in the election being like literal women. And this is what's crazy to me, right? There are literal women that were being interviewed before this election going like, oh, what happened? We can't have a woman president. What if she has her period? It's like, she's a 60-year-old woman. She doesn't have her period. Why do I have women telling me that women can't be president because they're too emotional? Like, it's an obvious religious thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an obvious, I don't know. It's sad.
I
It's
definitely think
really
part
sad,
is religion, but I don't think it all is. I think some people just have a bias
or just
against
misogynistic assholes. Yeah, I agree.
that. Yeah,
I agree.
but
All right, man. Well, hey, I had a good conversation with you. I'm going to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you coming up. All right, man.
all right, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
All right. Sorry, I had to like shut down TikTok and then move over or whatever, blah, blah. Clumsy, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, why go on 60 Minutes when you had Joe Rogan, stupid? Well, that's about the most MAGA answer. I think I don't even know if you're saying that ironically or not. I truly don't even know if you're saying that ironically or not, which is crazy. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. All right, y'all, we're about to open up the phone lines, move on to the next guest. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're about to open up these phone lines. So yeah, if you guys would like to support, again, I do have the super chats open on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it was ironic too, but just be sure. I have the super chats open on YouTube. If you say super chat or anything like that, that's a great way to support, and I really, really appreciate you guys. Also, I'll put them up the screen. We can talk about them and all that stuff. If you're on the TikTok side, we are kind of getting this thing back started since it was kind of had to do a couple double restarts there. I don't really know what happened, and if it doesn't spark up really quick, I'm gonna shut it down again. But yeah, we're gonna keep this thing going, see if we can get some good conversation. And yeah, if you'd like to support, I do have subs and all that fun stuff going on. I think I need 4 more today, so I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, phone lines are back open if you'd like to speak, and we can continue to have a conversation. I really appreciate you guys. Hello, how are you today?
Hello?
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
I'm sorry?
I said awesome. Why is that?
Oh, yeah, man. I support Trump because, I feel like, he's been the best option for our country.
How's that?
I mean, compared to Kamala, I think he would have been better than Kamala. Like, come on.
Kamala, and why is that?
She just she doesn't seem like she knows what she's doing. Like, what exactly do you think she could have done for the country that's better than Trump?
What do you mean
Like,
she
Trump
didn't
already-
know what she's doing? She's a literal fucking attorney general, senator, and fucking vice president. How could you not know how could you know what you're doing anymore?
But didn't she jail black people for weed?
No.
And laughed about it when she was asked that she smoked weed before.
No.
Like, she was hypocritical. She
No.
like,
You said,
she's
did
not
she
really
do that?
approved
The
of-
answer is no, she didn't.
She didn't do what?
She didn't jail anyone just for marijuana charges.
Okay.
Yeah, all of the charges that she had for that were a marijuana charge of any type of thing were a secondary charge. So it was like burglary and possession, or theft and possession. It wasn't like just a possession charge in any way, shape,
So
or form.
why do you think she would have been better for Trump? Like, she was literally the last option. Like, the Democrats all flooded in her funding as soon as they found out that Biden wasn't going to be a good candidate.
Well, that's actually not true. They didn't flood in her funding. She already had the funding.
She already had the funding.
Yes. See, the reason why nobody ran against Kamala Harris is because all of the funding that came from the Biden-Harris ticket, there's only one other person that could go to, and that's Harris, because she was on the ticket. So when people actually gave money to Biden super PACs and Biden, related campaign stuff, that actually were also giving to Kamala Harris. So therefore, Kamala Harris was could just take the money.
Okay. So I want to ask you something, about the American people, like.
Well, hold on, really quick. So, sorry, real quick for everybody out there, and I know like TikTok is still loading up and stuff like that because I had to do like 2 restarts or whatever. I get called like a Temu or Walmart like version of every left creator that's ever existed. It's funny, but this is by far the most like. I've never been so touched. Somebody just called me a Walmart version of the Pac-Man. I've never been so touched in my entire life. That's like the best compliment anyone's ever said to me. Like I truly don't even know how to. I could cry. That's so beautiful. The Pac-Man's amazing. Exactly. For y'all don't know who the Pac-Man is, that's a compliment. Okay? That's like you might as well what? Oh no, next you're gonna tell me I'm a Temu version of Brian Tyler Cohen? Darn, are you serious? That's like the best compliment I've ever had. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Carol, thank you so much for becoming a 5-month subscriber on TikTok. I really appreciate that. Yeah, the Pac-Man's amazing. Dude, are you kidding me? All right. Anyway, sorry. What were you saying about Kamala Harris or something? I don't know. I got that great compliment, and I forgot I was even talking to you, to be completely honest with you.
That's okay. Yeah. But I looked into your statement about if Kamala Harris jailed people for marijuana charges, and it says here that during her time as a San Francisco district attorney between 2004 and 11, her office oversaw approximately 1,956 marijuana-related convictions.
Sorry, where are you reading this from, sir?
This is the Mercury News.
What the fuck is the Mercury News?
It said that only 45.
Hold on, what the hell is the Mercury News? I've never heard of that before. What is the Mercury News?
Do you have a computer?
Yeah, I sure do.
So I want you to look in, because I can't show your people. I'm over the phone. But
I've never even heard of these guys before. But anyway, sir, I already said that. Anyway, sir, regardless of that, I already said that there was convictions under her, but they weren't the primary offense, and you didn't say anything regarding that. But anyways, that if you're literally gonna be like, well, Kamala Harris would put people in jail. Well, Donald Trump literally sexually assaulted someone. So I don't know what kind of moral conviction you're standing on here.
Well, we know that Kamala. Well, I understand you said that they had other things as well, but I'm just saying here that she did actually send people to jail for low-level marijuana charges. So, I'm just
sir, your article didn't say that.
Well, if you want to look into it.
Sure. Mercury News, what's the name of the article?
Mercury News.
That's the name of the news source. What's the name of the article?
Just look up about her marijuana.
There's a big title on the top of your article. Can you just tell me what it says?
No, I can't.
Weren't you just reading off of it?
Yeah, but I can't tell you that. You can do that.
Oh, my goodness. Campaign fact check. As District Attorney, Harris oversaw 1,900 convictions. Oh, my God. This is a fact check. The Mercury News is saying that it's not true. What are you talking about, dude?
You said Mercury News is saying it's not true that Kamala Harris...
Yeah, it's a fact check. That you're reading was the claim. I can't get into it all the way because it's a freaking... It's a pay link or whatever. They're literally fact checking the claim that people are saying that.
I mean, if you want, you could look into other sources.
I have, which is why I already stated them.
Because, like we just said, she was a district attorney in San Francisco. We know that. But, before marijuana was legalized, she was persecuting... She was persecuting people for marijuana charges. That's why she lost a lot of respect for the black community. And a lot of the black community ended up voting for Trump because they didn't trust her.
Yeah, you're completely unserious.
I'm very serious.
No, you're not. Because literally this source that you gave me says that you're wrong.
Can you show me that?
I already had it on the screen, actually. But you can go look at it. You have to read past the little line that says fact check. and read down the paragraphs. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that was saying, hey, there's a claim that says that she did this. Let's fact check to see if that's real or not. And you just read the claim that was probably just on Twitter or something. Hey, yo, I'm going to shut down TikTok. I think after the second restart, I think it's just not working. So I'll see you guys on YouTube if you guys want to hang out. I'm going to stay on YouTube for a while.
Yeah. So are we gonna get going to the next question? 'Cause I feel like you kind of refuted me with the Kamala Harris statement.
Yeah, I kind of did.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you because a guy brought up something about earlier about how he didn't agree with the fact that transgenders were going into the women's bathrooms and these were men at birth, and you kind of slugged them off and you were like, go find something better to do with your life. Like, what's up with that, bro? Like, are you a homosexual? Like, is that why you support that? Or if you do or not, I don't know.
No, I just think that
But
you
it kinda
should go
seemed
find something better to do with your life. If your big concern in your life is who's using what bathroom, then you have a very, very sad life, and I think you should correct that.
So somebody's a bad person for being concerned about a bathroom that a man
Yeah.
is going into if his daughter.
Anybody is concerned is with who is shitting in what toilet is a bad person. Yes.
That's not a good.
Are
look.
you
That's
a father?
unreal. No, I'm not a father.
Oh,
but if
see,
I
I'm a
was-
father and a girl dad. Yeah.
You're a father
and a father of a girl. Yeah. And see, yeah, I don't really care who's in which bath. I think that we should all have all gender neutral bathrooms because I don't really think it matters who's shitting next to who. Yeah.
So
Because when you
if
tell me
he
that
did-
that you don't like when freaking that people that were born males are in the are shitting next to people that, you know, that are born female, what you're telling me is that you're a predator.
because I don't want men inside of the bathroom with women.
Yeah, because you're saying that if you were in that bathroom, you would do something bad.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Then why do you think other people would because they were born with a certain gender?
It's really not. That's not just a simple case. I mean, the other case is the fact that they're in there. They shouldn't be in a
Why
room
not?
where women get undressed and they, you know,
In
they do
stalls?
things privately. That's just absurd to me that you would
Are
do
they
such
are
a
they
thing.
going in the stalls with people? Do you go in the stalls with people when you go to the bathroom?
You have women that go in those bathrooms and change their babies' diapers, and you think that
It's insane.
People change babies' diapers in men's bathrooms. Have you never been in a bathroom?
Yeah, they do. But
Yeah,
they're
there's
not,
changing
you know,
stations for babies in men's bathroom. Are you looking at babies also, you fucking psycho?
Are you trying to spin it around and make it like I'm the psycho?
No,
because
I'm
calling
not
you
spinning
out
it
on the
anywhere. You
psycho
are
shit?
you are the
'Cause
act
you're
you
the
are an
fucking
actual
psycho, dude.
weirdo.
If you have kids and you think that men should be going in the bathroom with your kids, then you're a fucking psycho.
No,
I
sir.
don't
I
care
just
what
don't care
anybody
about anybody going into the bathroom with anybody.
No, I
Okay,
think you
because if
just like
somebody
it
is
up
going to
the
be,
ass.
sir, if somebody's
I
going to
think
be,
you like it
sir,
up
her,
the
be
ass, and
quiet.
you're trying to make it like I
All right,
do.
sir.
I
I will
don't.
hang up on you like so fast. I do not care.
Go ahead. You're a bitch. That's what you are.
All right. Well, again, sir, if you think that predators are going up to a bathroom sign and being like, oh, well, shit, it says women and I'm a man. I was going to go hurt someone in this bathroom or go look at someone changing. But now that there's a sign there, fuck, I guess I'm going to turn around now. This sign is complete. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go through years of therapy. I'm going to go through years of gender affirming care. I'm going to surgically change my genitals so I can get past this pesky sign. Oh, I want to hurt someone, but this sign is just stopping me from doing so. Oh, how can we do that? I'm sorry. I just said that. I didn't actually want to talk to you. My bad. Sorry. It's such a ridiculous argument. The entire trans argument is such a ridiculous argument. We have a literal economy that needs fucking help. Okay. Donald Trump is starting wars with people and you're worried about who's taking shits where. Jesus fucking Christ. Get a fucking life, dude. Seriously. Get a fucking life. It's sad. Get a fucking life, bro. Hello?
Hello? Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
This is Dave. I do have one fun train fact for you tonight if you want to take it.
All right, Dave. Give us the train. It's Dave the Train Guy, everybody. W's in chat for Dave the Train Guy.
So, I was doing a little bit of research and found that the earliest American-built steam locomotive to end over in Britain was in 1841. The Birmingham and Gloucester Railway ran a line called the Lickey Incline, which was a railroad grade of 2.65%, one of the steepest mainline grades in all of Britain. And in 1841, like I said, they bought some Norris locomotives from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At one point, they had 26 of these engines running the line, and all of them were gone by 1856, I believe. And the only thing I can find is that one of them exploded.
All right. Well, guys, that's your train fact for the day. We got it. Thank you so much, Dave the Train Guy. I really appreciate that. I think what I figured out I'm going to do. So Dave, actually, now that I have you on the phone, I'm going to tell you what my plan is.
All right.
And I'm going to tell you don't ruin it.
I won't.
Okay? In my Discord, I think I'm going to make a hobbies channel.
Ooh. All right.
But Dave, I know you, and then the hobbies channel will turn into Dave the Train Guy's channel. So you have to let other people do their hobbies in there also.
I will.
Okay, you can't just take over the whole thing with trains. Okay, you can't just let the whole thing go.
I will not fill it with full trains. I promise.
Okay, I don't mind some trains in there, but you can't be just you. All right.
I completely understand.
All right, sounds good.
I've already got an entire Discord server to myself filled with trains.
All right. Well, if you want to hear more from Dave the Train Guy, make sure you're joining my Discord. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Dave, have a wonderful one. All right, man?
Yeah, have a good one. You have a good stream, man.
Later, man. That's Dave the Train Guy, y'all. Dave the Train Guy. He's awesome. All right. Grace, thank you so much for becoming a paid member over here on YouTube. I really appreciate that. I think we're getting really close to the number where I'm going to have to do a giveaway soon. I said once we got to like 20 or something like that, we were going to do a giveaway for the paid subs over here on YouTube. So I think we might have to do that soon. I think we're getting really close after the one today. So thank you guys so much for being paid members over here. I really appreciate that. Again, y'all, if you join the Discord and you are a paid member or a paid sub on TikTok, make sure you put that in your entry ticket. It gives you access to more channels, and we're always building that up too. So I really appreciate that. Tyler said, how come you never provide sources? Which is weird because I literally provide sources all the time. So I don't know what you want a source for. So I don't know. Brad the Pagan, hello, it's me again. I just got done watching another stream that was a bit like this. Really interesting. Who was there? Do I know them? Do I like them? I don't know. We'll see. Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate that. And he also said, Brad, train facts, a surprise, but a welcome one. Dude, Dave the Train Guy. Gotta love Dave the Train Guy. Nobody dislikes Dave the Train Guy, okay? Dave the Train Guy is awesome. And Hayless, thank you so much for the €5 over Super Chat. I really appreciate that. Said, thanks from Germany for doing what you do. Communication is key, even if many struggle to listen. Thank you so much. So actually, hold on. Yesterday I had France. Last week I had Norway. And the week before that I had Sweden. So I'm trying to see how much of the EU I can hit. I got to start making, I need one of those little like peg boards or something like that. So I can start marking where I get Super Chats from in different parts of Europe. So really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. From Germany also. My girlfriend's been begging me to go to Germany too lately. I've been there, but she's been begging me. Silent Storm, weren't you the one who sent like the 5 gifted earlier? Did you send 5 gifted and then not get one for yourself? Did I get that correct? Thank you so much for being a paid member. I really appreciate you, Silent Storm. I could have swore that's you. I could be wrong, but I thought that was you. Oh my gosh, I see Japan in here. I see Russia in here. Silent Storm, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thanks for joining also after gifting for everyone. I really appreciate that. And Stacy said this, the super chat saying, Big W to Dave the Train Guy. Hell yeah. Big W's for Dave the Train Guy from Stacy. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Corey, thank you so much for becoming a sub. Corey's one of my long time subs on TikTok, or paid subs on TikTok, and one of my mods here. So thank you so much, Corey. You know I love you, brother. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that.
You?
Hi, how old are you?
So, I'm 24.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do, yeah. So I was scrolling through my shorts feed. You just popped up on there. I don't know who you are, or I've never seen you before, but I saw what you put on there, so I thought I'd call and I just why I do.
So you do support Trump? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No or yes? I'm sorry. Hello?
Yes, I do support Donald Trump.
You do support him.
Can
Okay,
you hear me?
awesome. Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit, but we should be all right. So why do you support Trump?
Yeah. So, now.
Uh-oh, now I can't hear you at all.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm moving. Hold on.
Hey, man, I'm going to have to let you call back, dude. I'm sorry. This
Hello.
reception is really, really bad.
You should be able to get. Hey, hello. Hello.
Yeah, dude, your reception's
Can you hear me?
horrible, bro. I'm sorry, man. Your reception's so bad, bro. It's so bad. I keep telling people not to get MAGA mobile. Okay, I know it's tempting because it has that Trump sticker on it. Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. What's up, man?
Hi, how old are you?
25.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, whenever I vote in any election, my first kind of go-to are some moral issues that I can't really support. So abortion is one that's kind of a non-starter. If someone supports that, I can't give my vote. But separate from that, foreign policy. I'm not really a fan of the forever wars that we've been engaged in for pretty much my whole life. Then industrial policy, I think the debasing of our industrial base, basically since the 1970s, has been something of a problem. And then just generally strategically, also immigration, but then also generally strategically, I'm in favor of the right-wing movement becoming generally more populist. So I'm in favor of more kind of working-class populist candidates on the Republican side of the ticket. If there were pro-life Democrats, I would be 100% in favor of voting for them as well. So that's kind of where I stand generally.
Yeah, but you're not really pro-life, right?
Well, I mean, I think I'm anti-murder. I think taking an innocent human life is wrong.
Right, but you support, you're voted for Donald Trump, so therefore you support, the taking away of health care from children. You support, deporting children with cancer without their medication. You support, not giving free lunches to, when we have a large percentage of, well, large percentage in my opinion, of children that go to bed hungry every single night but can't get food. You support him taking away SNAP benefits from the people that need it the most. So you support everything that takes away from actual people's ability to live life. It sounds like you're just pro forced birth, and after that, you don't really give a shit whether they live or die.
Well, I mean, I don't support every element of. I'm not illogical when it comes to Trump. I can engage with critiques of his policy. I think that some parts of the Big Beautiful Bill aren't great. I think others are good, but to make moral claims around living and dying, I mean, according to your, epistemology, what makes death bad? What do you think that's?
Oh no, it's not a matter of me death. I don't necessarily think death is bad or good. Death is a normal part of human life. What I do support is the fact that we have women that need certain medical care in this country, and the women are dying in this country due to the lack of medical care, and that medical care is being taken away due to abortion laws in this country. I also have the problem with people's morality, thinking that they drive what women make decisions as far as medical care, and believing that they should be able to freaking intrude within that decision, right? Instead of allowing women to just make that decision on their own, because their morals and what they consider life could be different from what you consider life, right? And let's be honest, you probably don't even really consider it life to begin with. You're just told it is, so you do.
Yeah, but my issue is that it seems like both of us are making moral claims about life.
No,
You're
my
making moral
claim is that women should be able to make decisions on the medical decisions on their own with their doctor without the influence of you or the government, and you are making a moral claim.
I fail to see how we're not both making a moral claim, because you just said at the beginning that women are dying, and that's your argument for why we should allow people to get abortions. I fail to see how there's not a moral ought that is derived from the statement women are dying.
Yeah, so
Unless
that's an argument against your morality that you're pro-life when you're not. I'm not arguing that as far as my stance on why I believe abortion should be legal. I'm arguing that because you're saying that you're pro-life, and that's another example of how you're actually not pro-life. You're actually just pro-forced birth, because again, the life of the mother doesn't matter to you. It's just the life of the fetus.
Okay, well, you're making an assertion that I don't care about the life of the mother, which I don't.
Well, again, you're
favor-
saying you voted for Donald Trump due to abortion laws, and those abortion laws kill
well,
freaking
just
pregnant
because-
women.
Yeah, so just because I voted for Donald Trump doesn't mean that I agree with every element of his agenda. It just means that in comparison to the other choice, I agreed more generally with the direction that Donald Trump would take the country than Biden. It's not a tautology, an all-encompassing like worldview to say that I voted for Donald Trump, therefore I agree with every element of his
Do you support
agenda.
abortion laws?
However, what's that?
Do you support the abortion laws that are created by these states after the overturning of Roe versus Wade?
I am an abortion abolitionist. I mean, I think it should be completely banned with the exception of threat to it.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, due to those laws, you are supporting the death of the mothers and supporting things like freaking, medical deserts where women can't get medical health care, because that's what those laws cause.
I'm confused on. Can you restate that one more time just so I can track exactly?
Yeah,
what you're
Raj.
saying?
The laws that you're supporting, the abortionist laws, when the abortion laws, the abolitionist laws that you're supporting when it comes to abortion, those are negatively affecting women and women's health care in this country, right? It creates deserts of medical care within this country. It causes crazy things like that woman that was in, Georgia, who was kept alive and brain dead while they, for an unhealthy child to be born. It affects people like Amber Thurman, and people that are having ectopic pregnancies and dying on tables because of the abortion laws that you represent, right? So again, when you're supporting these laws, what you're saying is that you are pro fetus, but you are not pro the mother, because those are decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor, and they can't be made because of the laws that you support.
Okay, can I have like 2 minutes to go through what you just said, please?
10 minutes? Absolutely not.
No. 2 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, so I think that both of us are making a value judgment about either the life of the infant or the life of the mother. For me, I think that those examples that you laid out are tragedies, and I think we need to do everything that we can within the law to try and curtail that potentiality of that negative externality of those women dying. However, I also think that the negative externality of the low estimates being somewhere around 55 million to the high estimates being around 100 million abortions, I see that as the wanton killing of an innocent human person. So I think both of those things are bad. I think we should do everything we can to maximize the potential for people to be alive. I think that the sanctity of human life is a sacred bedrock of human civilization. And the question that I have for you is, I fail to see how you pointing to those things, of those ectopic pregnancies and women dying, I think that we're both making moral statements. You see the life of the
Sir,
mother.
I am only making. Sorry. There's enough, because you've already made this statement a few times. Okay.
I know, but
I am making a moral statement against your moral statement. It has nothing to do with my worldview.
Okay, so that's, I guess, what I'm asking is, what is your world?
It's a very simple worldview. It's that it is none of your business or the government's business, because women are intelligent beings that can make medical decisions on their own without your help and without the help of anybody else. Okay. What you are saying is that women are not smart enough or not moral enough to make decisions on their own about their own bodies and their own pregnancies. You are saying, okay. No, that's exactly what you're saying. Because if it wasn't for that, you're saying that you need to now guide somebody else's morality. You are saying that women can't make the decision on what is human, or on when a being becomes human, or what a life is, and that women are indiscriminately killing children or babies or human beings, and that you need to get in the way and stop that. That is what you're saying. I am saying that women have their own moral fortitude, and that they can make their own moral decisions, that they can make their own they have their own moral compass, and that they can make their own medical decisions without your help and without my help and without the government's help. All right. You see it as women being not able to make those decisions. I see it as they can.
Yeah, so we're both making. The thing is I'm failing to see how what you're saying is not reflective of the imposition of a moral structure on women and the rest of society.
How is it a moral structure to say women can make their own decision without my input?
Because who says? Who said? I mean, like,
because who says? Because I said. It's a subjective opinion. It's not a moral argument.
Yeah, so the government has no business telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies is not a moral argument.
I don't think the government has the ability to tell anybody what kind of medical decisions they should have, regardless of whether you're male or female.
Okay, so can you maybe steelman for me how that could potentially lead to some pretty negative outcomes for society?
What do you mean?
Like, could you imagine a scenario where that argument that you just laid out could lead to some pretty negative outcomes for society?
Like what?
Full and absolute medical autonomy, where people are allowed to do literally whatever it is they want to. They deem necessary to do with their bodies. Do you not see how that could potentially lead to any negative outcomes?
Any negative outcomes? Any option has negative outcomes. I don't deal in absolutes, because nothing has 100% success rate of being a complete success in every way, shape, and form. And there's all sorts of things that could have certain negative outcomes when it comes to things. I mean, the biggest one that I think that you could see would be like some form of assisted suicide, which already exists in some countries, which I don't technically have any type of moral argument towards whatsoever. Okay. Because that's, again, not my decision to be made. That's an individual decision with their doctor. And if medically that is a decision that they make, then okay, then what does that have to do with fucking me, really? Like, I mean, like truthfully, like really it doesn't, like if somebody is suffering and they believe that that's a case, that is better for them to suffer and go out in a way that is more humane, then what issue is that of mine? Okay. But I think that you would also have a huge problem if you said the government should step in and give mandatory vasectomies to every, male child at the moment that he, hits puberty, right?
I think the reason I have a hard time engaging with this kind of like train of logic is that I feel like there's a whole host of other issues where you would be totally fine with the government intervening on other people's behalf and telling them what to do and not to do. And I think that's where
like
I'm
what? Well, I mean, I'm saying, is there times when I think government should be able to tell people what they can and can't do? Sure. That is the purpose of our government, but that falls very far from medical decision making. And again, it's not individual medical decision making; it's it's decision making that is then paired with doctors who fall under the Hippocratic Oath, right? I'm not just saying just women; I'm saying women and their doctors.
Yeah. So you think that there's something about the nature of a medical decision that allows people to make that removes morality from the equation?
No, sir. I just believe that morality is subjective and that I don't get to impose mine on others regardless.
Yeah, exactly. But I that's what I'm saying. I think there's a whole host of other issues where, you just cited it's more humane for someone to be allowed to participate in assisted suicide. See, I think, like, when I listen to you speak, and I've heard a lot of your conversations, I don't believe that that's true. I think that you do have a morality that you cite all the time.
I do. Of course, I do have a morality. I didn't say I didn't have a morality. You're making a distinction between me having morality, which I absolutely do, and me making a moral argument, which I am absolutely not. I did say humane, but what did I say before that? I said I don't have a moral judgment towards it. That is what I said. I don't have a moral judgment towards somebody who wants to do something as far as, like, assisted suicide or something like that. I don't have a moral judgment towards it. Do I personally think that it would be a right thing to do? No, I don't. Do I think that that I would do it? Absolutely not. But do I think that it's morally irreprehensible for someone else to do it? Their morality is not my morality to make that decision on.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the reason that I kind of like to go through that conversation is the thing that I run into a lot of times is it seems that a lot of times in these discussions, it's like one person makes a moral argument and then the other person also makes a moral argument. And then one of them like points to the other person is like, you can't do that because you're like trying to enforce your morality on people. And for me, I see politics as kind of a competition between competing worldviews. And ultimately, I think people enforcing each other's morality on one another, that's kind of what politics is, if you really think about it. I mean, that's kind of what we do in elections.
So what I just heard you say is that you are trying to, which seems very accurate to what you've been trying to do this entire time, which is force me into saying a moral argument, which I have failed to do. So you're just making it a moral argument no matter what I say. Now, if you want to have a statement of morality, like for me personally, that's fine, okay? And I have no issue with that, right? Like, I can make statements of morality. What I'm saying is that my morality is not your morality. And there's certain things as a whole, as a society, we have agreed that morally, between all of our subjective moralities, we have agreed that there are certain laws and other things that should exist, right? Like murder, for an example, right? But that's not just a moral argument. That is an argument that goes against the civility of society, right? Because if everybody's just going around unaliving everybody else, then we have a collapse of our society, right? Theft is another example of that, right? If we have no personal property and we have no ability to stop from stealing each other, it causes a collapse of society. So while it's a moral argument, it falls more into the civility of society than it does towards a moral argument, which is why we have laws about it, right? When we're talking about things like abortion, we don't have this huge stance in America, even from that standpoint that talks about this objective morality to it, right? 2/3 of Americans disagreed with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, right? Not because it was a murder or not a murder or some type of moral argument. It was just the idea that women should be able to make the decisions on their own without the influence of the government, right? And it's really funny because normally I hear the people that have these complaints about abortion, that want to talk about abortion and say, oh, the government should be able to mandate this, are the same people that tell me that the government needs to stay out of my business when it comes to who owns guns or not, right? But for some reason, when it comes to a gun, which could affect many, many people, right? Could affect lives of people, could affect lives of children, could affect lives of their parents, could affect lives of people walking down a store, that could affect the lives of and the ability to live of all sorts of people. Somehow, we don't, you don't want to have the government telling you anything about that. But when it comes to a woman's personal choice and her personal medical decisions with her doctor, then all of a sudden the government needs to impede. And I just don't understand how you can make that argument, because it's a dichotomy.
Well, I didn't make that argument.
I didn't say you did.
Okay, it just kind of seemed like you were. Yeah, I mean, I could be in favor of some sensible gun regulation. I'm not. I think I'm not indicative of like a typical, like, I'm not brainwashed. I can critically think about Trump's policies and come to my own conclusions. It's just that abortion for me, and I know that you've made the claim that you've addressed kind of what I've said about making moral arguments and stuff, but I would just consider what you just talked about and what you just went through about morality and guns and affecting other people's lives. I fail to see how, in the absence of some kind of appeal to a moral structure, that I could not turn around and make the exact same argument, and you would have no real philosophical ground to stand upon other than a bunch of people agree with me, and therefore we're going to vote it in and turn it into law. I fail to see a distinction fundamentally between what the two of us are advocating for.
Yeah, you're advocating for the government going in and stopping a woman from being able to make her own decisions, based off of your morals.
Yes.
I am saying, because morals are subjective, that we should leave it to the women's morals. Okay. So if you want to break it down to a moral argument, because again, it seems like you really, really want to come and make this a moral argument. Okay. So your worldview requires you to force your morals onto someone else. Okay.
Yeah.
And my worldview does not.
I
Because
I'm
because
sorry,
in
but
no way, shape, or form am I forcing you to get an abortion or forcing any of your loved ones to get an abortion or in any way saying that you need to have an abortion or advocating for abortion in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that even a single abortion should ever happen. Right? Because I don't need that for my worldview. I am totally cool with if every single, person made the decision personally off of their own subjective morals and said that they never have an abortion, then I'm 100%, 1,000% okay with that. I don't need to have, an outcome with mine. That's the issue. Okay. I don't need to have an outcome.
Yeah. So that logically follows what you just said. I can track. I haven't had enough time to kind of engage with what you just said to have a real, retort to that, because that does logically follow. But what I'm trying to bring up is that I think that there are a whole host of other issues where it would be hard for you to make that same argument. And the broader point that I'm trying to make is that you make the claim that morality is subjective and there's no such thing as an objective truth around morality. Okay, so by your logic, there is really no distinction morally between what the two of us are saying. For me, I think that society necessitates some kind of superordinate moral structure to keep society functioning. Otherwise, you have what we have right now with the declining birth rate, and our society is essentially, kind of coming apart at the seams a little bit, and we're relying upon immigration to really sustain ourselves. So the point that's kind of my central point, is that by your logic, in a moral vacuum where morals are fundamentally subjective and meaningless, there's really no distinction between what the two of us are saying.
Morally, no.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the quagmire that I kind of run into with a lot of these debates.
But it's not a quagmire.
By your own logic, this conversation doesn't even matter.
But again, your entire thing fringes on this being a moral argument, and mine's not a moral argument. What you're saying, what you're pretty much saying is, well, you have subjective morals and I have subjective morals, and since we both have subjective morals, then there's no difference between our subjective morals. Correct. Okay. But again, I'm not making a moral argument. You're making a moral argument. And again, I'm not challenging your moral argument on whether or not your morals guide the way that you live your life. Your morals are the ones that are guiding your morals, and your worldview on this is guiding that your morals subject other people to your moral standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
my problem is with you putting your morals on others. It's not on your moral stance. I don't give a shit about your moral stance. Your moral stance is just fine with me. Okay. I don't think that your moral stance to say that you don't believe that you should have an abortion affects our society in a negative way, or affects other people in a negative way in which it should be which challenges civility within our society. I don't believe that. Right. So therefore, your moral stance of you not wanting to have an abortion is totally fine with me. Okay, that's totally fine. It is only when you press those morals onto someone else, and you keep saying that there's all of these other instances that that would challenge that thought process. And again, I already brought up other moral stances. I brought up murder, right? It's not just a moral stance. It disrupts civilization. It disrupts society, right? Theft is another example of that. I would say that stricter gun laws is another example of how there is a disruption in civility, right? Giving up people's rights, as to live in a normal, healthy society is disrupted by some our inability to pass common sense gun laws, right? I would say that that's easy. I can make those arguments without turning it moral. Morally, I find it reprehensible, right? I find it absolutely reprehensible that you would try to force your morals onto someone else because of most likely what is a religious belief and nothing else, right? To people that do not believe your religion in any way, shape, or form. And maybe it's not a religious belief. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? But the majority of people that I talk to that have this, very hard stance when it comes to abortion, all right, do it from a spot of a religious belief. And that's fine. You have the right in this country to believe your religious belief, but you don't have that right to force your religious belief on others. And that's where my issue comes in with it.
Okay, so two things that you said. So it's wrong, like in reference to the gun laws and other things. You said it's wrong because it disrupts society, or maybe not wrong, but we shouldn't allow it because it disrupts society. The other one was it's wrong, or it's wrong, or we shouldn't allow it, or it's wrong because you're imposing your morality on people. Those two claims that you made, could you run through for me how those are not the imposition of a worldview on someone else?
How is it not my? I'm sorry. What? How is it not an imposition of the worldview on somebody else?
Yeah, you made reference to the fact that something disrupts society, and it's wrong to impose your morality on people. How are those two claims not the imposition of something on someone else?
Right. There is imposition of something on someone else. I'm not saying that there's not. We have plenty of times when we have imposition of someone else. I've already brought up multiple examples of that.
Yeah, and I'm asking, what is, other than your preference, the preference and the preference of a bunch of other people, like, what is the foundation for those?
Yeah, when we have, sir, again, there's a preference of other people, and then there's things that are needed to guide society around, right? Sociologically, right? Like, if you take us back to, like, tribal Neanderthals or something like that, right? Like, outside of an understanding of science or understanding of medical technology or understanding of any of those things, right? It is understood that if you take the life of someone else, that is a negative to society, right? And you can't just be running around having the ability to do that, right? Sociologically, we understand that, like rooted, right? Like, hey, you're a human being. You cannot take the life of another human being, as far as, like, adult human beings or, like, born human beings, right? We have that understanding. And even, like, we look back biblically, right? Where the Bible, has a differentiation in between someone who is born and living and somebody who is, and then a fetus, right? The Bible, so 2,000 years ago, we still had that understanding that there was a difference between those two things, right? But we understand the disruption of society within that, right? So there's multiple disruptions of society in which we deem sociologically not capable of of being managed without certain type of rules within our lives, right? Rules are important. There are rules that need to be followed. There are rules that are necessary in order for us to keep up some type of facade of civilization, right? And whenever those things are disrupted, we see a breakdown in civilization, and those are negatives. So
it's essentially, what I'm hearing is it's kind of like your basic foundation is kind of like a postmodern, like, utilitarianism.
That could be one way to put it. I don't think it falls completely in that, but I understand where you're coming from.
Okay, cool. I think I think I've gotten everything out of the I think we understand each other perfectly well. That was a great conversation.
All right, man. Absolutely. You have a good one. All right.
You too.
Bye. Sorry, this is funny. I gotta put some super chats up, but this is probably my favorite comment ever. I really have no comeback for this. I mean, I guess that technically means I'm banned, but I don't know. I guess I'm banned, y'all. I gotta get some more emotes and stuff in there. I guess my YouTube members are getting up to a point. I started last night. I started my live talking abortion. I ended my live last night talking abortion. And now I'm at this point, like, where I'm like, man, am I gonna end again talking abortion? Like, because I was gonna be done after this. Let me see what it counts for super chats. Stacy said OBGYNs are fleeing red states. This prevents women from getting cervical cancer screenings and other healthcare. It doesn't just affect pregnant women. Also, Stacy, I'd like to bring up that the stopping of funding. Oh, what state was it? Where they just stopped funding for Planned Parenthood, or they reduced funding for Planned Parenthood, which is going to have a lot of the same effects, right? Cervical cancer screenings, contraceptive, like all sorts of stuff. What state is that? I can't remember. I'm sure it's in my chat right now, but I don't have it up. So you guys put it in the chat because I can't. I think Ari just yelled South Carolina. Pretty sure. If you're anti-vaccine, you're pro-choice medically speaking. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah. Anna, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I guess technically you are. That's a good point. Weird dichotomy in that one, right? Danielle said, I absolutely love you and what you stand for. I think we'd be great friends. Thank you so much, Danielle, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And thank you. I really appreciate your stance on that. That's really, really helpful.
It's insane.
That's really awesome. And Spencer says he needs to think if it's his mother's choice was abortion around contraception, he wouldn't be here. Under the rules he's advocating for, he's taken away the right she had to make that decision. 100%. And I think that people I think that say if his hold on, what is that? He needs to think if his mother's choice was abortion around contraception, he wouldn't be here. Under the rules he's advocating for, he's taking away the rights she had to make. Exactly. Right? Like she needs to have that ability to make that, even if it's your own mother, right? And I think that's what people really trying to get to is I think people try to play this crazy weird thing where it's oh, well, if it was for abortion, you wouldn't be here. And it's yeah, but I wouldn't have known I wasn't here. So it doesn't that doesn't affect me. You're talking to a sentient being who is already here, who already has an understanding about not being here, right? As opposed to something that is not a sentient being, just never existing. If I never existed, I never knew that I never existed. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I get your point. Thank you, Spencer. I really appreciate that huge $20 super chat. I really appreciate that. And Philip, thank you so much. Is that 50 pounds? I think that's a 50-pound super chat. Thank you so much. It says at 3 a.m. Amid the fog of digital warfare, your voice cuts through the noise like a beacon. Grateful for your insight and courage. This super chat is a small salute to a giant mind fighting for ours. Thank you, Politics, truly. That is absolutely stinking touching on every ounce of my being. If it wasn't for somebody telling me I was like the Pac-Man earlier, this might be the best. No, this actually beats out somebody comparing me to the Pac-Man, which is absolutely crazy. Oh, dude, I can be that's fine. This is very sweet, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. This is very, very sweet. W's in the chat for Philip. I'm gonna leave this up here for a second. I actually wasn't even going to take another guest because I was about to call for a night. But you know what? Just so I can leave Phillips up there. I know, right? That's so poetic, Corey. That's so poetic. I'm going to take one more caller just because Phillips sent this super chat. And I want to leave it up for a bit. That's it. I'm going to take one more caller just so Phillips super chat can stay up there a little bit more. Big W's in the chat for Philip. I really appreciate that. Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
24. I called in before, actually. The service was terrible.
Oh, yeah, you were the bad service guy.
Yeah, but then I switched rooms, and I think now I'm good.
All right, man. So I will warn you, it's not going to be the longest conversation in forever. But what's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't want to take up too much of your time anyway. Really just that, I was just scrolling through my shorts. I don't know who you are or anything. You just popped up, and I saw the number. But I voted for Trump twice. I wasn't old enough the first time, but I did the other 2 times. And the main reason why, especially this most recent one, was because of immigration. That is the main reason. And let me tell you this as from my perspective. I'm young, right? I'm also half Hispanic. My mom is an immigrant from Ecuador. She came here in the 90s. She did everything the right way. She got her green card. She got a job. She met my dad. After she became a citizen, but her English still wasn't that good. So he helped her out learning English, and she assimilated, and everything was nice. She understands what it's like to go through all the paperwork and all that stuff. You get what I'm saying?
No, I don't get what you're saying because, again, Donald Trump is deporting people who are trying to do things legally. He's literally ripping them out of immigration courts in order to deport them. And if you're talking about undocumented migrants, Joe Biden deported more than Donald Trump is. Even if we're talking just as early as last year, where Joe Biden deported 385,000 undocumented immigrants, and Donald Trump can't even hit 300,000 halfway through the year. So when you're talking about people doing things legally, and you're talking about them doing all the paperwork and all the rough things that they need to do, one, I think that the process of being legal should be like easier, which again is under comprehensive immigration reform, which would have been, passed by Biden if Donald Trump didn't stop it. But on top of that, Donald Trump doesn't care whether you're here legally. He doesn't care whether you're doing things the right way. He's still deporting people.
No, I get that. Yeah, look, that was just my background, right? That was just, you kind of cut me off before I was able to, or I let you go, whatever. I was just giving you the background of my perspective. So even she supports Donald Trump, my mom, right? And the reason why is because for 4 years, what we saw was just people just being allowed into the country, just openly.
Not true.
Forever. Dude, you could see the videos at the border. But
yes, sir. A lot of those videos were literally not even under the Biden administration. They were literally just playing videos of all sorts of stuff. How many new undocumented immigrants came in the country under the Biden administration?
I couldn't tell you the exact number.
Give me a guess.
I think it was around probably like 8 to 10 million. Probably.
Yeah, it was 1.7 million.
It couldn't have been.
Yes, it is because
not if you count all the people. I know about the temporary protected set. That's another thing. There's people who were given status that I don't think should have gotten it. And now that they're getting it taken away, I don't think that's wrong. If you shouldn't have had it in the first place. If you got status and it gets revoked because you got it fraudulently and you get deported, I think that's awesome.
Well, sir, they get it while they await their court date. And you can't tell me whether they get it fraudulently or not until they go to their court date. Okay? So if you're ripping people out before they can find out if it's fraudulent, that is wrong. And if you're complaining about how long it takes for them to get to their court date, the problem with that is the Biden administration's bill that Donald Trump blocked would have reduced the amount of time from over 5 years to under 6 months until we found out whether it was a good asylum claim or not. And now because Donald Trump blocked that, now we don't have that ability. So therefore, Donald Trump is literally the reason why they're there on temporary protective status to begin with.
Right. But if we had just not allowed them in, they wouldn't have been given the status to begin with.
Why were they given that status?
Why did we let them in?
Why were they given that status, sir?
I don't know.
They were given that status because at the border they were able to provide evidence of a credible fear. Okay.
Well, that's if you're an asylee, I'm pretty sure you're under different standards than someone who's just trying to.
No, sir. All those people on temporary legal status were people that were seeking asylum. That's what they were. That's why they were given temporary legal status. Nobody was just given temporary legal status just because they showed up at the border. Those were asylum seekers that were given that temporary legal status.
But we have so many. That's the thing. Like I don't think America needs to be the we just have to open our doors to everybody who comes in and just allow them in.
We didn't. Actually, 39% of people that even sought asylum at the border were turned away and deported immediately. Okay. But this is why it would have been quicker, because if Joe Biden's comprehensive immigration reform, bill that would have passed if Donald Trump didn't stop it, then we would have had those people in here. They would have temporarily been here. We would have found out whether they had a credible fear, and less than 15% of people who actually seek asylum in the United States are actually granted, a full asylum in the United States. So within 6 months, we would have known whether they were legally allowed to be here, and then we could have deported the ones that weren't here, and we could have kept the ones that actually really did have credible fears, but we weren't able to do that because Donald Trump stopped it.
Okay, and that bill, the problem with that bill is that it had a certain allowance for how many people we could allow to be getaways to come into the country. Then the number should be zero. We should not allow anyone.
But it didn't have that. That's incorrect. Yeah, the number that was in that bill was the number of border encounters, and just because someone has a border encounter does not mean that they are let into the country or that they were seeking asylum or that they were deported. It doesn't mean any of that. That is just an illegal crossing that happens, and the Border Patrol stops them. You can have an illegal crossing that happens more than once in a day. And what those numbers actually were 4,000 okay, in which they could completely shut down the border. 5,000 average over a week, which would have automatically shut down the border. And any day during 10,000 of one day would have automatically shut down the border. And at the numbers we were getting when that bill would have been passed, it would have literally the day that bill was signed, it would have shut down the border. It would have legally shut it down. There wouldn't have been a single person that was able to come over regardless of legal status, because that bill would have shut down because we were already past that number. Instead of that, Donald Trump allowed that, stopped that bill from coming in. So we continued to see border encounters. So literally more people are now in the country because of that, because people were talking about that allowance. But again, that bill had 98% approval in the Senate before Donald Trump called down and stopped it.
And you know what? I think that's personally fine, because if you look at what Trump did when he got in most recently, within a matter of weeks, encounters were down to record lows, and they were things that Joe Biden could have also done if he felt like it. So why didn't he?
Because I don't agree with them being this low, because I think that that's very inhumane for them to be this low, because I think that a certain level of asylum seeking in this country is actually very important, right? I think that we need to be able to be, we need to be open to people that have credible fears for their life, or credible fears for the life of their family. And when we have encounters that are down to a number that is this low, like I think was a couple months ago, it was down like 6,000 in a month. That means that there's a whole shit ton of people that really could have credible fears that really probably should be asylum seekers in this country that are no longer able to do this. And that's because Donald Trump has scared the shit out of someone by treating people so inhumanely, by taking people who are legally here and deporting them, by taking people and sending them to foreign prisons, by creating things like alligator Alcatraz, or talking about opening up the real Alcatraz. He's scaring people that literally could be here legally, that want to contribute to society, just like what you talk about your mother or your grandmother. He's taking those people, right, and he's sending them to prison, and he's treating them inhumanely as a way to stop people from showing up in the border. And I don't find that as a good thing. Okay, I don't find that as a good thing whatsoever.
Yeah, but look, I honestly think those foreign prisons, sending them to other countries, just let me explain. I think that's great, because it sends a message. It says, don't cross. Do not come here. You will end up in alligator Alcatraz if you come here illegally.
So you're saying sending people to prison without due process for crimes that have not been proven is a good thing?
When you say due process, you got to remember, a citizen of the U.S. has a very different standard of due process than someone who's coming in illegally.
When you're talking about deporting them, yes. When you're talking about sending them to a prison, no.
Well, why not send them somewhere else? It's much cheaper for us. We pay El Salvador $6 million, and they hold all those people. And for us, it costs hundreds
people
of millions
get
of dollars
duped.
to hold
Sir,
them.
you're advocating right now for sending human beings to prison for crimes they haven't been convicted of.
The crime they committed was crossing the border illegally, sir. I believe that.
Sir, that is a Class E misdemeanor that is the same level as jaywalking.
Yeah, and I don't believe it should be.
So you think that people should be sent to terrorist prisons because of the equivalency of jaywalking?
In essence, yes, sir, I do, because you can't enter a country illegally. And if you do, if you do that in any other country, they boot your ass out immediately.
Then boot their asses out. I don't have a problem with kicking them out. I have the problem with the prison part.
But, sir, what's wrong with the prison?
What's the problem with sending people to terrorism prisons for crimes they weren't convicted of? Are you serious?
Sir, we're sending them to prison if you get caught being here illegally.
If you get caught for a misdemeanor, sir, if you want to send them back to their country of origin for them being here illegally, I don't have an issue with that. That's not what's happening. They are being sent to literal foreign fucking concentration camps, pretty much, for doing a Class E misdemeanor. Are you kidding me?
I understand, sir. But
Hold on. Who did you say immigrated here?
My mom.
Your mom. You do realize under Donald Trump's policies right now, your mom, as a person who tried to do things legally, could be sent to this fucking prison if she was still in an immigration status.
Sir, she's a citizen.
Yes.
She's been a citizen since
But before that, when she was actually trying to do things the correct way, Okay? She could have been sent to this terrorism prison for no other fucking reason, but not fully being here legally yet. You understand that, right?
No, I don't, because those
You're
people
right.
that
You
you're saying are
obviously
getting
fucking
snatched up,
don't.
There's probably a reason that those people are getting snatched up at the courthouse.
Yes,
You
they're
don't know.
brown.
No, it's not because they're brown. It's not because.
Well, Donald
I
Trump
try
was
to
real cool to
dispel
let a
this.
whole bunch of freaking people in that were white South Africans. And he had no problem with them being here off the same status. And there's no breaking down doors for them. But as soon as they're fucking brown, he seems to have no problem.
Well, were they committing any crimes?
Nope. Less than freaking, I think 5% of people, or less than 10% of people that Donald Trump is arresting and sending to these places have committed any other crime.
Aside from entering.
Aside
That
from
is
the
your crime.
jaywalking, yes.
You're jaywalking across an international border.
Sir.
That's not okay. We need to prosecute that.
Sir. Again, if the punishment for walking across that border is deportation, I have no problem with that. You're advocating for people to go to terrorism concentration camps.
Yes, because it is at minimal expense to Mr. and Mrs. John Q. taxpayer.
I don't give a shit if it costs us $0. It's inhumane and fucking sad that you as a human being are advocating for the freaking mistreatment of other human beings for crossing a fucking imaginary line on the ground.
And that's the thing, sir. I don't believe borders are imaginary. I believe we have borders.
Oh, so God created them.
No, we
yeah, when God
borders.
created the heavens and the earth, he took a Sharpie and he was like, this is where America is. Send them to terrorism prisons.
No, sir, he did not do that.
Okay, so who made up the lines?
What he did do, humans did, sir. Humans made them.
So imaginary lines on the ground.
No, but sir, you keep cutting me off every time I try to say
No,
it.
because you're really being like inhumane and really kind of sad, and it really bothers me. Like, truthfully, it really does. When human beings want to treat other human beings poorly because of something so fucking sad as crossing a fucking border. If you have a problem with them being here and you want to have them deported, I have no issue with that. We do need borders in this country. We need Border Patrol to be able to do their job, and people should not be crossing illegally. Okay? 100%. But then saying that you want to treat those people inhumanely because of that fucking crime, dude, we can't even do that to people who rob banks in this country. Like, we can't treat people in this country. We have laws that say if you murder someone, you have to at least be treated humanely. Okay? Like, they can put you to death, but it has to be done humanely. Right?
Sure.
But you're advocating for somebody who did nothing but cross a border to be treated inhumanely just for simply crossing the border, and that's fucking disgusting, dude.
Sir, it's because a border signals where one culture is and another culture is, and one set of ideas is and another set of ideas is, and etc. And we can't just have you come in and not know who you are, not know where you
Sir,
came.
did you not hear a singular fucking word I just said to you in your fucking ears? If you want to fucking deport them...
I haven't cursed at you, sir.
No, I'm cursing at you. Get fucked, dude. Did you not hear what I just fucking said? If you want to deport them, that's fine. That is not an excuse to send them to a fucking terrorism prison.
Sir, if you cross the border, it's a federal crime.
I hope your mom gets deported.
You hope my mom gets
I hope
deported.
your mom gets deported and sent to a fucking prison.
Sir, when you cross the border,
I hope that your mom
consequences.
gets literally put in. I hope ICE breaks down your mother's fucking door tonight and fucking sends her to fucking CCOT. Then maybe you'll see. Then maybe you'll see how fucking inhumane and pathetic that shit is when it's to a fucking human being that you actually fucking care about. Okay? Instead of just treating it as like some other fucking person's fucking problem, okay?
Sir, crossing a border is not jaywalking, sir.
It's according to the law, it is. According to your fee-fees, it's not.
To my feces. So my feces dictate immigration policy.
No, immigration policy says it's the same as a fucking jaywalking. According to your fee-fees, it's not. Okay? I'm talking about the law. You're talking about how you feel. Okay?
Sir,
Insane.
What do you a parking ticket, sir? If you get caught crossing the border, no, your ass gets sent to prison.
No, your
another
ass gets
country if need be.
deported.
Yes, your ass is deported. What's wrong with sending them to CCOT? Nothing. They get housed. They get fed. They're
they get
secured.
beat, right? They can't, they have no service to anything. Their families don't know where they are. They're barely fucking
What does it
fed.
matter?
They're
They
shoved in
committed a crime.
over
Leave them
fucking
there.
populated prisons where they're shoved in fucking cells. They have no place to fucking sleep. God forgive all the fucking horrors that happen to you in those prisons. Yeah, all of that shit. We should totally send fucking fathers
then,
and
sir,
fucking
if you
hardworking
wouldn't
people
like
to these fucking prisons because, oh, I'm scared
Then
of
why
people
not
crossing
house
the
one,
fucking
sir? Why
border.
not house
Dude, I
one?
can't
If
wait
you-
for your
if you're
mom to
so
get deported.
concerned about-
I literally cannot
If
wait
you're
for your
so-
mom to get
if
deported.
you're so concerned about
I
them,
hope
why
so
not
bad.
house them?
Donald Trump is literally talking about denaturalization. I hope your mother is first.
I am here, and you don't need
I
to
hope you
use
get
that
deported.
language.
I hope you get
shouldn't
deported for
say
raising
that.
such a piece of shit
Okay.
son.
Really?
I
Why
hope for
don't you
raising
house
such a
those
worthless
people? Why don't
fucking
you
piece
house
of
those
shit son.
people?
I
House
hope
those
you
people.
literally
House
get
those
fucking
people.
deported to
House those
CCOT.
people. House those people. House those people.
Yes, we should house those people. I agree that we should.
Fucking moron.
Okay?
My wife's a citizen, asshole.
Yeah, I hope she gets deported
Right.
too.
Give it this fucking moron.
Okay, and you will come with me. I'll invite you.
Sir, I'll be praying for you. Have a wonderful night, all right?
Hail Satan.
Thomas.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing right now. All right, that was worth the last call. That was worth the last call. That was worth the last call. That was fun. Sorry, I don't know. He said it was the mom, and then he changed it to the wife at the last second. I don't know. He said it was the mom, and then he said he changed it to the wife at the last second. I'm not sure which one it is. Okay, I don't even know. All right, I got some super chats to read real quick. Hey, Liz, thank you so much. It says, he said, from Germany, he said, when the frustration about this whole world catches up to me, I try to see how our civilization evolved over thousands of years. Do you feel me? There's through a lot more atrocities. Unfortunately. Hopefully we'll fix this thing eventually. Not during my lifetime, but we'll fix it eventually. But hey, let's thank you so much from Germany. Thank you so much for the €5 super chat. Chris said, problem is reading ability like the big dog shit bill. 5th and 14th Amendments are written. It says due process applies to persons, not citizens. Thank you, Chris. All persons born, if I do remember correctly. All persons born in the 14th Amendment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. Tim, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, great channel. Keep it up. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Puggle says, half Ecuadorian here. How soon they forget deport his family. All right, cool. At least somebody else is on track with me. I'm not the only person over here that's saying it. Spencer, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. It says, by his logic, the same can be said to him. If he looked up his ancestry, I'm sure we will be there'll be foreign genes inside of him. Maybe we should deport him because his ancestry should dictate deportation. Exactly. It's all, dude, nothing drives me crazy than people who are immigrants or like first generation in this country who are advocating for the deportation of others. Like literally walking through the gate and shutting it behind them. Fucking pathetic, dude. Like people like that, whose literal mother could have been one of these people's mothers, who is being treated inhumanely and treated like so horribly, and they're so cool to treat everybody else like fucking that, but not their own people in their own fucking family. It's so fucking sad, man. Oh, it's really, really fucking sad. But thank you so much, Spencer. I really appreciate the $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. Chris said, nightly reminder that we need to be more than them. Yeah, we'll get there. I promise you. And Chris also, Chris said, this guy actually lives in his mom's basement. He literally had to walk upstairs to go get his mom. So true, so true. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that. Mark said, if I die and don't come back, I want to be, if I die and come back, I want to be just like you. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. That's sweet. Chris says, no, the 5th doesn't say born, literally all person. I think the 14th is the one that says all born. It says born. Pretty sure. But thank you so much for the super chat. And Kid Gruesome said, men of God show love to immigrants. Those who don't are not true followers of Jesus, and I can't welcome them as fellow Christians. 100%. The Bible specifically talks about how you treat the aliens amongst you. Okay? It specifically talks about that. All right? And it says that you should treat them like one of your own. Not like foreigners in your country. Treat them as one of your own. Even the Bible got immigration right. It's very, very sad that Christians can't figure that out also. So 100% Kid Gruesome. You're 1,000% right. 100%. So yeah, very, very true. Thank you so much, Kid Gruesome. I really appreciate that. And Rhonda, thank you so much for the Cash App. Says, I hate racists. Me and you both, Rhonda. Me and you both. All right, I need to go eat. I'm pretty sure my girlfriend has had like food here for a while. And I said I was going to do 3 hours. I'm at like 3 hours and 20 because I got on a roll with that last guy. But I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. I will be back tomorrow. Make sure you join my Discord. It's in my link tree in my bio. Make sure you join my Discord so you know when I'm on tomorrow. Love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you guys so much for the support, the love, and everything else. You guys are really, really amazing. Have a wonderful night, all right? Bye.